Finishing the potion, the noblewoman appeared euphoric, her eyes glazed over, swaying and drooling. Delightful indeed. Han Li nodded, satisfied. However, abruptly, the noblewoman began convulsing, foam forming at her lips. Had the ecstasy caused her to faint? Good heavens, someone save her. This woman has turned green. After a moment, her condition improved slightly, though her limbs continued to twitch abominably. What a dreadful sight. Ling Han, please escort her back, Han Li commanded. As he was not a malicious individual, just a bit of harmless torment would suffice. Oh, Ling Han said, leading the convulsing woman downstairs. Cui, what would you like to eat? Han Li pulled out his phone, ready to order takeout, for he intended to spend the entire day conducting research on Shuang Fantian. Cui Hao lounged back, puffing on his cigarette, and frowned. In this desolate place, can they even deliver? Watch me work my magic. Han Li placed the order, and soon after, the delivery person called. Sir, your location is too far for us to deliver. Is that so? I shall offer you 2,000 for the trouble. Sir. 10 minutes. Please wait for me. Damn, it's on fire now. Everything was resolved. In this world, there was nothing that money could not solve. Cui Hao remarked. The viewers in the live stream are at a loss for words. A crisis is unfolding. Han, the police have already arrived. Do you still have the leisure to order takeout? This is dire. What if our Han doesn't even know? The officer's badge had a tracker. Who could have anticipated that? It felt as if disaster was imminent. At that moment, Ling Han, who had been escorting the noblewoman downstairs, rushed back up in a flurry. Han Li and Cui Hao exchanged puzzled glances. Why have you returned? Ling Han's face was etched with terror as he waved his hands frantically, pointing outside. His voice trembled. Heavens! There are police officers everywhere. Just after descending the stairs, he was greeted by the sight of numerous officers reloading their weapons, surrounding the building like a tightly woven net. What? Han Li approached the railing, peering out. A fleet of police cars and a throng of officers had sealed off the area completely, seemingly intent on capturing them in a trap. It's strange. How did the police discover our location? Cui Hao pondered, bewildered, as both he and Ling Han had disguised themselves well, evading detection. Han Li extracted his police badge. His expression grave. I suspect this may have betrayed us. Upon closer inspection, he indeed found a miniature tracker concealed on the back of the badge, emitting a faint glow. What on earth is Li Yi thinking? Installing a tracker on his own badge? Even Han Li could not fathom such an absurdity. Suddenly, a loudspeaker blared outside, and Ouyang Rong's voice echoed, addressing Han Li and the others inside the building. Surrender, Han Li. The police are all around. Get lost. Li Yi kicked him aside, exclaiming. Enough talk. Charge. Yes. Ling Han, anxiously clutching his head, fretted. What do we do now? They have dozens of people. Cui Hao, with a determined demeanor, declared. It seems I must take the lead. If we are to be here, then we must make the best of it. Meanwhile, Han Li had already donned a suit, adorned with a Peppa Pig mask, and seized an assault rifle, a smirk playing on his lips. As a bandit, it would be remiss not to take down a few officers. Chapter 87. Blowing up the stairwell. You're taking this to the next level, Han. The commotion created by Han Li and his companions roused a wealthy woman from her slumber. Where am I? Who are you? Help! She screamed, drawing the attention of the officers outside. Silence. Han Li swiftly covered her mouth, threatening. You've seen the show Criminal Roleplay, haven't you? You are now our hostage, and I hope you will cooperate. The woman trembled, fear evident in her eyes as she gazed at the gun pressed against her forehead. She nodded, signaling her compliance. Excellent. Han Li turned to Ling Han. Go, strap a bomb onto her. The woman gasped. What? This is ruthless. Cui, go place these explosives at the base of the stairwell, Han Li instructed, revealing a stash of bombs. Even Cui Hao felt his eyelids twitch at the sight. Just how many bombs have you been hiding from us? Meanwhile, on the first floor of the abandoned building, an initial team of officers cautiously entered, moving through the hallways like a centipede. Scout ahead. Yes. The last officer in line rushed to the front, setting down a backpack. From it, he retrieved a toy car equipped with advanced recording devices, capable of surveying the surroundings. The officer maneuvered the toy car into the second floor to investigate the situation. Report. Captain, the second floor is currently clear. No sign of the robbers. The captain waved his hand, signaling everyone to proceed inside. It appears that the robbers are above. No matter, once the first batch stabilizes, the second will follow suit. This time, even if we have to turn the entire building upside down, we must apprehend Han Li. This building has at least 7 or 8 floors, and searching for him will require significant police force. This is not a viable approach. Ouyang Rong is currently calling for additional support, which is on its way. At this moment, the radio crackles to life with the squad's voice. Report, officer. We have discovered a suspected hideout for Han Li. The squad leader surveys the lab-like arrangement, complete with a sofa, a television, and even a makeshift bed. This must be Han Li's sanctuary. Quick, search the area. Soon, they uncover numerous everyday items, along with some peculiar potions. Bring them back. Suddenly, someone shouts. We found a hostage. Everyone rushes over to see a woman tied to a chair, explosives strapped to her, with a countdown in progress. She sobs uncontrollably. Miss. Do not be afraid, we are here. Just as the leader steps forward, he suddenly steps on something. Beep beep boom. With a deafening explosion, The squad leader is covered in paintballs, disbelief etched on his face. Is he gone just like that? It's a pressure-sensitive mine. Everyone be careful. A sharp-eyed officer notices the mine beneath the leader's feet. Damn it, they are using mines now, are they? A collective gasp fills the air. This is outrageous. Quickly report to the base and send experts. This situation exceeds their capacity to manage. Below in the building, Ouyang Rong receives the news, his face turning pale. Pressure-sensitive mines? This is a police drama, not a war film. Madness. Where are the experts? The rest of you, go search for Han Li. Yes. Before long, Ouyang Rong, accompanied by armed officers, escorts the experts upstairs. Li Yi grips the radio tightly. Everyone, be cautious. Despite having the absolute advantage this time, it feels as if something is about to go wrong. Perhaps I am overthinking it. As the last batch of officers ascends the staircase, one remarks, "Hey, do you hear that beeping sound?" "What? Hurry up." "Really?" The officer glances back at the corridor. Noticing nothing unusual, he dismisses it. However, behind each corridor, bundles of explosives begin their final countdown. 10, 9, 1. The explosives behind the corridors of the first to fourth floors simultaneously ignite with an eerie red light. In the next moment, sparks fly. Boom. The explosions roar incessantly, echoing like thunderclaps in the hearts of those present. Li Yi's heart races. What is happening? Then, before their incredulous gazes, the connecting corridor between the buildings detonates, beginning to collapse. Everyone. Did I just see that correctly? The corridor exploded? Heavens. Damn it, we can't get down. Within the building, the searching police officers were stunned as the corridor exploded. Could it be true that Han Li had gone that far? This was a disaster. They had essentially fallen into a trap. Cursing under his breath, Li Yi violently slammed the intercom to the ground, unable to contain his fury. This Han Li was utterly deranged. How could he have destroyed the corridor? Wait. Glancing outside, he noticed there were fewer than 7 officers remaining, all of whom were technically inclined. Li Yi suddenly realized that if all the armed officers were trapped inside, then the ones outside were in peril. Could it be that Han Li's true target was none other than himself? Don't move. A chilling voice echoed in his ear. Li Yi felt the barrel of a gun pressed against his back. Moments later, a face donned with a Peppa Pig mask emerged. "Hello, Black Cat Constable." When Pepper is mentioned, she appears. Li Yi cursed his miscalculation. He inquired, "Han Li, how did you escape?" "I took the back door," Han Li replied. This back door had been specifically prepared by him, unknown even to the officers. "So, you were waiting for the officers to ascend before blowing up the corridor, and then came to take me hostage?" Han Li smiled. A clever fellow indeed. The viewers in the live stream went utterly wild. This was a classic case of capturing the leader first. Everyone, shout with me. Han is amazing. This was certainly a situation that could necessitate military intervention. The officers murmured, "This makes us seem foolish." As Li Yi anticipated, the remaining technical officers were swiftly taken down by Cui Hao, who was wearing an Ultraman mask, posing no threat whatsoever. Ling Han was busy collecting their weapons. More was always better. "Give up that thought. Even if I am eliminated, I will never yield to you," Li Yi declared, drawing his weapon, prepared to take his own life rather than submit to Han Li. Han Li was taken aback. So resolute. I never expected that. However, after acquiring the skill of agile hands, Han Li's reflexes far surpassed those of an ordinary person. Cui Hao, quick on his feet, attempted to intervene but discovered that Han Li was even faster, effortlessly knocking Li Yi's gun from his hand, leaving him no chance whatsoever. "Li Yi? Cui Hao? What the hell? When did this kid become so quick?" Bang. Before Li Yi could react, Han Li knocked him unconscious. "Han, why didn't you just eliminate him?" Ling Han questioned, puzzled, as this was a golden opportunity. "Li Yi will inevitably become a threat. You fool. This show is meant to hone the officers. He cannot be eliminated just yet." Han Li held up his phone beside the unconscious Li Yi, giving a peace sign. Snap. Just leaving a memento. Ling Han and Cui Hao were left speechless. This is truly a heart-wrenching betrayal. Meanwhile, the support vehicles of the police were racing towards the scene. "Hurry, hurry. The Crimson Star has been stolen by Han Li. Our C-City police have lost face. This time, we must reclaim it." Just then, they noticed a police car ahead that seemed to be malfunctioning, emitting smoke and parked in the middle of the road. "Who's there?" Reporting in, "It's our people." "Let us check it out." They approached the police car. A man clad in a trench coat, adorned with the visage of the Black Cat Constable, approached. He tugged at the handcuffed Ling Han behind him. "Move faster, you wretched criminal." The supporting inspectors were momentarily taken aback. Had they apprehended him so swiftly? Chapter 88. A shocking case is about to unfold. The audience in the live stream erupted in excitement. Is this the real Black Cat Constable? I am utterly bewildered by President Han's actions. Shallow, you are all so superficial. Anticipate a grand spectacle. President Han is about to accomplish something monumental. The inspectors exchanged glances at the officer who had arrived from City S, hesitating in their response. "Officer Li, what is the meaning of this? Were we not still searching? How did they manage to capture him so suddenly?" Han Li mimicked Li Yi's accent with a skillful tongue. "You are late. We have already apprehended Han Li's accomplices. However, they resisted fiercely, resulting in our police vehicle malfunctioning. The others are still addressing the aftermath in the building." Stepping forward, Han Li produced Li Yi's police badge for the inspectors to see, administering them a reassuring jolt of confidence. It is authentic. The badge indeed belonged to Li Yi, which left the inspectors wholly convinced. They offered a salute. But where is Han Li? This question echoed the sentiments of all the inspectors. Where's that cunning old thief? Han Li gestured towards the vehicle. Inside, a man donned in a Peppa Pig mask and a suit was bound tightly, slumped against the seat. There is no escape. It's Han Li. Heh, old thief, today is your day of reckoning. This humiliation shall be repaid 100-fold. Inspector, Officer Li, since that is the case, we shall escort you back first. Yes, let us ensure Han Li is taken back without delay. Ling Han could not help but stifle a laugh. Inspector, what are you laughing at? You're facing imminent doom. Ah, forgive me, I recall the joke. Han Li kicked Ling Han. Get in the car, you're finished. Do you understand? Ah, yes. Ling Han struggled to contain himself. Han Li placed both Ling Han and Shui Hao in the same vehicle, then turned to the inspectors. Han Li is the most dangerous. He requires your vigilance. I can handle these two. Oh my. He captured the criminal and is alleviating our burden. He truly is. The inspectors were overwhelmed with admiration for Officer Li. However, they failed to notice that the zipper of the bag Han Li was carrying had been left ajar, revealing weapons and explosives within. Inspector from City S, we are familiar with this. Is this for real? Li Yi, this is bad. I have become a decoy. Are we robbing a house? Han Li, since we are here, why not make a grand spectacle? The originally supportive convoy turned back. Along the way, the inspectors from City C were elated, never imagining that a criminal ranked among the top 3 on the crime list would fall into their hands. Words could not express their delight. Hey, old thief, why aren't you putting on a show? One inspector jested while keeping watch over Han Li. Li Yi groggily opened his eyes, realizing he was seated in a police vehicle with his hands bound, surrounded by 2 fearsome police officers. It seemed as though they were poised to strike at any moment. Upon hearing himself referred to as Han Li, Li Yi quickly realized he had become Han Li's stand-in. How outrageous. Suddenly, the 2 officers noticed this Han Li trembling, emitting peculiar sounds. Be calm, he whimpered. I am not Han Li. I am the Black Cat Constable. Yet, he was unable to articulate his words, as his mouth was stuffed with thick gauze. Still making noise? One officer responded with a sharp slap across Han Li's face. The impact was searing. Li Yi was bewildered. You hit me. Listen, a criminal like you deserves a beating. See, you're behaving now, aren't you? Replied the officer. We'll have to see about that, Brother Wong. You 2 fools, I am not Han Li. Li Yi exclaimed in frustration. How could there be such dim-witted officers? However, what followed was a series of slaps. Do not inquire further. The officers expressed their profound care for Han Li through their actions. At around 7 o'clock, within the police car trailing the main convoy, Ling Han released the handcuffs and flexed his wrist. Mr. Han, you truly are a criminal mastermind. However, what if those officers trapped inside the building made a phone call? If they reported to the precinct, their side would be compromised. Han Li had already anticipated this. Do not worry, my phone will intercept all their communications. They won't even be able to contact the precinct, let alone report anything. Kid, why are you seizing so many firearms? Shui Hao questioned, clutching a large bag filled with weapons collected from the previous officers. He was quite puzzled. Even with the 3 of us, we scarcely need this many guns. To his astonishment, there was even a sniper rifle. Ling Han's eyes lit up as he picked up the sniper rifle and toyed with it. I never said these weapons were meant for us, Han Li replied. Ling Han and Shui Hao were taken aback. What do you mean? Han Li drove with one hand and remarked, guess how many contestants are detained in the Sea City police station? Recently, due to the program's relaxed restrictions, an influx of outside contestants had flooded into Sea City, resulting in the capture of numerous contestants. This had placed significant pressure on the precinct. After all, following standard procedures, each contestant must undergo interrogation, and relevant evidence must be compiled. Consequently, Sea City's police station was short on space and had to temporarily detain some of the criminals. In other words, these criminals had not yet been eliminated. Han Li declared, I am going to incite a riot. Ling Han and Shui Hao's eyes widened in disbelief. They knew this guy was crazy, but they never anticipated he could be even crazier. Ling Han timidly suggested, Mr. Han, how about you let me out here, and I'll take a taxi back? Click. The car door was locked tightly. Han Li stated, once you're in my car, do you think you can just leave? Ling Han, cradling his head, cried, Mr. Han, reconsider. There are just 3 of us, and that's the police station. We might get completely annihilated. Look at you. Still as cowardly as ever. Just take a good look at Chui Yi and learn from him. Ling Han turned to see Chui Yi had already begun to pull out his urinal bag and, bizarrely, a kitchen knife he had found somewhere, brandishing it with intent. My great blade is already yearning with impatience, seizing this opportunity to impart a thorough lesson to the police chiefs. To the police station, release the criminals? Incredible. The viewers in the live stream were driven into a frenzy by Han Li's remarks. A prison break? Mr. Han, have you lost your mind? The thought sends shivers down my spine. If this truly happens, City C will undoubtedly descend into chaos. An unprecedented case, never before seen in history. I understand, Mr. Han intends to ascend to the top of the rankings. If it unfolds tomorrow, it will certainly be front-page news. Who knows, on the streets. One might witness a clash between robbers and police chiefs. Everyone, don't venture out tomorrow. The production team. All the staff watched in stunned silence at Han Li's statements in the live stream. The head of City C was smoking, nearly singeing his own hair in fright. Has this guy gone mad? Who knows? The director waved his hand dismissively. Director, have you always held a grudge against me? The head of City C grasped the director. This lunatic is your doing. Delighting in chaos. The director wore a pleased expression. After all, this time the misfortune befalls City C. Let them experience the torment of being at Han Li's mercy. Chapter 89, A Prison Break? The ruthless bandit directly storms the police station. Han Li followed Chief of Police C to their headquarters. He turned to Ling Han and Elder Chui, asking, So, are you two familiar with the plan? Almost. Apologies. I didn't catch a word. Let us just act. Where do you point? That's where I strike. Ling Han exclaimed, exuding an aura of dominance. Han Li rubbed his forehead, questioning the reliability of sending these two to execute a prison break. Regrettably, he needed to maintain control over the situation. Wait for my signal. Yes, sir. Han Li recuffed the two and led them out of the police car, retrieving the bag from the trunk. In the evening, around 8 o'clock, Officer Li announced, Here is our headquarters. The chief introduced Han Li. This is our headquarters, where nothing has gone awry for decades. A fortress of safety, not even a mosquito could escape. Han Li chimed in, Indeed. But now that I am here, that may no longer hold true. How could I have been captured? This is intolerable. Ling Han feigned a distressed demeanor, shaking his head vigorously, 3 parts weeping, 1 part unwillingness, just shy of putting on a performance. The chief remarked, as expected, Those who follow Han Li are anything but ordinary. What do you mean by that? Elder Chui cursed as he was escorted inside by several police chiefs. Along with the unconscious Han Li, he was flanked by 2 officers. Brother Wong, your grip is truly fierce. The mask has been stretched. Shoo, keep it down. Han Li followed the chief to their command room. Are there many people in the bureau? Not many. Most have gone out with Officer Ouyang. Some have returned home to rest. Why do you ask? Han Li replied, I fear this Han Li might stir up some trouble. You know he is a madman. That is true. The viewers in the live stream reacted with bewilderment. Don't be absurd. Here he comes, eagerly awaiting Director Han's display of prowess. Ouyang Rong, silly child, run. Han Li, can you guess why I ask? Han Li stepped into the command room. Turning around, he shut the heavy door and secured it from the inside. The officers present were taken aback. Why lock the door? Han Li placed a hefty backpack on the ground, turned his back, and rummaged inside. Officer Li, what does this mean? When Han Li turned around once more, he held 2 activated smoke grenades in his hands. This is what I mean. The officers gasped in shock as the smoke canisters rolled to their feet. What on earth? Aren't we all on the same side? In an instant, the smoke grenades detonated, leaving no time for the officers to react. Thick smoke enveloped the room, causing them to cough incessantly, their eyes stinging, disoriented. Who are you, really? Han Li removed the mask of the Black Cat police chief, a smile gracing his lips. For words, you're Peppa? Oh no, we've been tricked. Quick shoot. Bang, bang, bang. The officers hastily drew their weapons and fired chaotically, their accuracy lacking. At that moment, Han Li donned a prepared thermal imaging device, navigating effortlessly through the haze, picking up a submachine gun. 1 shot, a clean headshot. In mere minutes, he had incapacitated all the officers present. The viewers in the live stream erupted. Director Han is terrifying as ever. This is a total domination. Officer, young man, where are your morals in combat? Your Peppa is forever a legend. The eliminated officers crouched on the ground, hands on their heads, each lamenting their fate. Damn it, old thief. May you meet a wretched end. Shoo, silence from the dead. Han Li deftly manipulated the security system of the police station. In no time, he hacked into the system, temporarily disabling all surveillance cameras. At that moment, as Ling Han and Grandpa Chui were escorted by 2 officers, they passed a corner where the previously illuminated cameras had now gone dark, ceasing operation. Earlier, Director Han had indicated that this would signal their move. Grandpa Chui Hao immediately understood. He suddenly turned to the young officer escorting them and asked, Young man, within 10 steps, which is faster, the gun or the man? Obviously, the gun. In the next instant, Chui Hao removed the fake handcuffs and executed a spinning kick, sending the young officer crashing into the wall, rendering him unconscious. Ling Han followed suit, attempting a stylish spinning kick. Unfortunately, his short legs couldn't reach. Officer. Ling Han, a decoy. Grandpa Chui's lethal kick. Bang. The young officer met his demise. The 2 donned concealed miniature earpieces and followed the commands from Han Li in the command room. This way, with determination, they overcame various obstacles and charged into the area where the criminals were held. Damn. To his astonishment, a password was required for the door to unlock. Ling Han rubbed his head, a wave of headache washing over him. The imposing door before him demanded a code for access. This was troublesome. Kid, are you capable? I can already hear the footsteps of the officer, cried the anxious Elder Chui from behind. After all, they were in the police station on enemy territory. The ruckus they were causing would inevitably attract pursuit. Wait a moment. Why was he acting like a villain? He was, without a doubt, a good person. Han Li replied. Give me 5 minutes to crack the code. 5 minutes. Ling Han stomped his foot in frustration. In 5 minutes, we might meet our doom. 5 minutes, you say? Elder Chui brandished a specially crafted watermelon knife, embodying a formidable presence. As the armed officer approached, he was met with a barrage of gunfire from Ling Han. Just as the officer was about to draw a smoke grenade, an elderly man adorned with an Ultraman mask soared through the air, revealing himself. With the watermelon knife raised, he smiled at them, saying, "Young man, I assure you, I am a good person." The armed officer retorted, "Which good person carries a watermelon knife?" Open fire. Gunfire erupted, bullets flying in all directions as they narrowly missed their targets. Elder Chui, with precision, eliminated several armed officers in close combat. The viewers in the livestream gasped in awe. Elder Chui, you are truly a legend. The former commander of the Qinglong Special Forces is no joke. Elder Chui, amidst the chaos, was a sight to behold. Ling Han, feeling overshadowed, exclaimed, "What about me? Have you forgotten me?" Elder Chui continued to shine, while Ling Han provided applause for his remarkable feats. Inside the police station, the remaining armed officers awoke to the shocking news of an attack. Each one displayed disbelief. Is this real? Are criminals actually daring to strike our precinct? Are they out of their minds? One officer, still groggy, was abruptly kicked over by a rushing colleague. What on earth? They've breached our very doorstep. Brothers, there's an old man going berserk over there. An old man? With a watermelon knife? Faster than a gun. What is happening? Elder Chui, battling the officers, began to tire. Is it done yet? My back is about to give out. Ling Han swiftly input the password. The door illuminated and swung open. Chapter 90. Ladies and gentlemen, I propose a rebellion. With the door now ajar, Ling Han called out to Elder Chui, who was still engaged in combat. Elder, the door is open. The armed officers were taken aback. What? You actually unlocked it? This is our precinct's latest anti-theft door. Let us go. Within the confines of this enclosed space, Elder Chui was nearly invincible. No one could keep pace with him. With a firm grip around Ling Han, they ventured into the detention area. The officers trailing behind, noticing the imminent escape, hastily followed suit. Just as they were about to step inside, the door abruptly slammed shut, causing the officers to retract their feet in alarm. Silence enveloped the room as they stared at the now closed entrance. Were they truly blocked by their own gate? Was this not their territory? In the command room, Han Li lounged with his legs crossed, relishing the brief 5 minutes during which the Sea City police station had transformed into his domain. Truly, it was formidable. An officer exclaimed, "Damn it, this is no game." Laughter erupted as Han's presence was felt. This was indeed his territory. Confined outside, the officers were merely buying time for Ling Han and his companions within. Now, it was time for action. Han Li, with a bag in hand, finalized the settings for the police station S system before brandishing an assault rifle and charging out. The hunt had commenced. Impressive indeed. Ling Han could not help but admire the prowess of the Elder Chui. It was no wonder he hailed from a lineage of dragons. With a mere watermelon knife, he matched the armed officers blow for blow. In his youth, he had battled notorious criminals abroad, carving a bloody path from Vietnam all the way to Han Island. As the two entered the detention zone, a makeshift prison, many criminals were roused by the commotion, peering over the railings with curiosity. It was evident they did not appear to be the good guys. Ling Han addressed the onlookers. Soon, the cells that confine you will be opened. You have 2 choices. 1, to wait in humiliation for elimination. 2, to embrace your identity as contestants and start anew. He glanced at the words of his elder brother, Han, inscribed in his palm. The moment he finished speaking, the criminals were momentarily stunned before an overwhelming wave of realization swept through them. Han Li, the one who comes to set us free? They gasped in disbelief. What a formidable figure. The disparity in circumstances was striking. This is what a true bandit looks like. You have 3 minutes to deliberate, Ling Han declared. With a resounding hum, the doors of the detention area swung open, startling the inmates. It really opened? Is this truly a police station? Surely, it cannot be Han Li's domain. In 3 minutes, Han would come to escort those willing to leave the police station. Would they go? Many pondered whether to continue or preserve a portion of their points and withdraw. The Sea City officers had promised them that if they surrendered, they could retain 40% of their points, a gesture of goodwill. However, should they escape now and be recaptured, they would lose everything. I want to go. There's no escaping this place, some admitted. Truth be told, the conditions here were rather comfortable, with food and shelter provided. A few began to reconsider. Following Han Li's orders, Ling Han retrieved a pre-recorded audio device and began to play it for all to hear. A cold, indifferent voice resonated among the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, do you realize the worth of a single point in today's world? It is valued at 5,000. The assembly could hardly believe their ears. Was it true? If you choose to languish here, I have no objection. However, for those spirited youths still harboring ambition, I urge you to follow me and see this game through to its conclusion. You may know me as a ruthless bandit, but I wish to convey that throughout my life, I have always given my all. Let us not forget the original intent of this program. While we may be labeled as criminals, we are engaged in a noble endeavor. Society shall be enriched because of our actions. We portray criminals to thwart the true villains. I remind myself that only through committing greater crimes can people truly comprehend the horrors of criminality, thus enhancing the authority of law enforcement and ultimately eradicating crime. For this cause, I shall exert every ounce of my being and dedicate myself entirely. The recording concluded. The criminals stood speechless, feeling a surge of fervor within. Each word echoed in their minds, lingering long after. Strangely, his words ignited a fervent passion within me. How exhilarating. Damn it, if you're not convinced, then let us fight. I'm no coward. A burly man was the first to step forward. Could it be that I am part of something so grand? Are we truly the good ones? He is right. The program's intent is to awaken the public to the perils of crime. I am willing. Ling Han and Elder Chui observed as the contestants emerged from their cells, their expressions brimming with determination, as though preparing for battle. The echoes of Han Li's words reverberated in their hearts. Though we are criminals, society shall be better for our presence. Damn, we are criminals, aren't we, Elder Chui? Ling Han began to question his own existence. You ask me? I have been led into this by you all. Who could have imagined that a mere pre-recorded speech would stir such emotions in everyone? Soon, when the armed officers opened the doors, they were met by a swarm of fierce criminals awaiting them. Officers, what are you planning to do? For a better society. Charge. No. In an instant, before they could even draw their weapons, the officers were overwhelmed by the tide of criminals. Brothers, charge with me. Ling Han raised his firearm and led the charge. The criminals seized the officers' weapons. Those without firearms grabbed helmets and followed Ling Han into the fray, shouting, "Trust in me, Han, and gain eternal life." In a flash, chaos erupted within the police station. Gunfire rang out everywhere. Goodness, Chief, we're doomed. The station is being overrun. One officer cowered behind a counter, trembling in fear. These criminals were terrifying. They were reckless. What? In the dead of night, the chief of the Sea City Police, feeble and bedridden, sprang up in shock. What did you say? The station is under attack? Yes. It's madness. Han Li has incited a riot with the criminals. We can hardly hold them back. Han Li? Wasn't he captured? How is this possible? Hold the line. I command you to hold the line. The chief was furious. If Han Li truly succeeds, it would mark the most severe case in the history of law enforcement. I can no longer remain idle. I shall dispatch reinforcements immediately. The chief hung up the phone and hurriedly donned his attire. What are you doing? His wife inquired, perplexed. Damn it, the house may be lost. At that moment, the production team erupted in chaos. The viewers in the live broadcast room were clamoring, unable to sleep. Is it true? Has the prison break succeeded? A new era has dawned. How did Han manage to persuade those criminals? Come and witness the live broadcast of our esteemed Han. There's a riot going on. Is it real? Incredible. When Han says to act, we act. In comparison, the other criminals seem utterly weak. Suddenly, the production team was taken aback as a third of the audience in the other contestants' live rooms vanished. What is happening? The heads of various regions were making frantic calls to inquire. The responses were uniformly the same. Oh, it's nothing. Everyone has gone to watch Han Li's prison break. I'm off to see the riot at the police station. The leaders were left bewildered. Prison break? Riot? Are they out of their minds? Chapter 91. Decisive and ruthless. All eyes on Han Li. Contestant Han Li has shattered the record as the first to breach the police station since the program's inception. The female host, with great emotion, recounted her observations of Han Li, gradually becoming enamored by his formidable prowess. One cannot deny that in the role of a criminal, Han Li is indeed invincible. Surely, the police chiefs must be feeling quite troubled? Professor Li, with a smile, took a sip from his cup, contemplating that this might not necessarily be a bad thing. Han Li's audacious act has made the police realize that their precincts cannot be perpetually secure. It serves as a rehearsal for similar incidents in the future. In Huaxia, within the live broadcast rooms of various production teams, countless contestants watched as their viewers fervently praised Han Li. In an instant, they were left in a state of bewilderment. What had transpired? It seemed that a contestant from S City had breached the police station in C City. Meanwhile, in a certain location in D City, members of the underground organization, the Black Dragon Society, had just accomplished a significant heist, robbing D City's insurance company. They were poised to make a name for themselves. However, a newcomer named Peichi emerged and overshadowed their efforts. Damn Peichi, stealing my thunder. The Black Dragon fumed, hurling his phone in frustration. After finally completing a major case, it was all rendered moot by Han Li. What nonsense is this? I shall remember you, Peichi Han Li. In a dark alley, a man clad in a black raincoat seized a criminal's phone, which was streaming Han Li's live broadcast. So, it is Han Li who has breached the police station. He mused, a glint of crimson fervor flickering in his eyes, a manifestation of his frenzied obsession. A new quarry had indeed emerged. Simultaneously, across various locations, prominent contestants learned of Han Li's audacious bank robbery through their respective channels. Shock, confusion, fear, admiration, and reverence coursed through their minds, each harboring their own agendas. Yet, without a doubt, the name Han Li had left an indelible mark upon the hearts of the contestants, subtly surpassing the first-place contender, Q. The chief, accompanied by his subordinates, hastily made their way to the vicinity of the police station, aiming to resolve this farcical situation. Go, restrain them. Yes. A contingent of armed officers received the command and prepared to enter the building. Inside, the contestants were engaged in a fervent battle. Damn, there are so many officers downstairs. We are surrounded. A burly man exclaimed as he felled an officer with a single punch, shouting at the others. Ling Han and Cui Hao had anticipated this outcome. Previously, General Han had warned them that no secret remains hidden forever. It was only a matter of time. They hadn't expected it to happen so swiftly. General Han, what should we do next? Ling Han inquired into his earpiece. You go find a vehicle. I will handle this. Meanwhile, in a corridor, Han Li had dispatched 2 officers and taken a female officer hostage. He glanced out at the flashing police lights with a sinister smile. This is perfect. Han Li, surrender. You are already surrounded. Han Li brandished a remote control, waving it in front of the woman. Miss, have you ever heard the saying? What? The woman sensed danger upon seeing the remote control. Explosions are a form of art. Han Li grinned malevolently as he pressed the button. Suddenly, the armed officers, poised to storm in, heard a series of beeping sounds. Looking down, they realized that a strange noise was emanating from beneath the police cars parked outside the station. No way. In the next instant, the bomb installed under the police car detonated, lifting the vehicle into the air, spinning it around before it crashed to the ground. With a resounding boom, sparks erupted from the car, flames engulfing it, causing the armed officers to retreat in fear, unable to advance, effectively isolating the police from the situation. This is bad. We can't get in now. Damn it. The chief quickly called for firefighters to extinguish the flames, instructing, go to the back door. The robbers will surely escape from there. Yes, with the front entrance blocked, they had no choice but to flee through the rear. The audience in the live stream witnessed the police car explode, flames consuming it and sealing the main entrance. In the dead of night, howls echoed in the air. It's on fire. How impressive, General Han, truly remarkable. Luo Xiang exclaimed. To be honest, Han Li does not seem to be acting. Is this not a documentary about a ruthless criminal? It's incredible. On the second floor, the criminals watched as flames erupted below, gasping in shock. Beads of cold sweat forming on their foreheads. This Han Li is formidable. Everyone, if we can eliminate the officers downstairs, we can escape this hell. Ling Han raised his weapon, rallying the others. Do we trust General Han? The crowd, driven by adrenaline, shouted in unison, to eternal life. Just as the criminals were cursing and preparing for a shootout, while descending to the first floor, they discovered rows of escaped armed officers crouched against the walls. Hands on their heads, with paintball hits marked all over their chests, a testament to pinpoint accuracy, whose impeccable marksmanship could have taken down so many officers. At that moment, a door swung open. The female police chief wept, pleading, do not pull my hair. Clad in a suit, a man adorned with a Peppa Pig motif dragged her out. Upon spotting Ling Han and the others, he smirked and introduced himself. Greetings, I am the notorious bandit, Han Li. Bind this woman as a hostage. And Ling Han will start the vehicle. We shall burst through the main entrance. Understood. Ling Han proceeded to the back door to ignite the engine of the vehicle that had been previously parked. The crowd murmured in disbelief. Did we hear that correctly? Burst through the main entrance? ISNT that where the fire is raging? A participant emerged, and suddenly a deafening explosion reverberated. Everyone turned to witness a colossal police armored vehicle crashing through the doors, shattering them into fragments. Ling Han popped his head out and exclaimed, everyone get in. I am your seasoned driver. The crowd gasped in astonishment. Is this for real? You actually managed to procure a police armored vehicle? Han Li ushered the female police chief into the vehicle. Brother Han, I wish to accompany you. Take me along. At that moment, a captivating female participant attempted to board, eager to follow Han Li. Oh, you wish to join me? Han Li inquired. Yes, Brother Han, she replied, somewhat bashfully. I possess a lovely figure. And I am quite beautiful, plus my skills are exceptional. I can keep you warm at night. As she spoke, she gently caressed Han Li's arm, biting her lip. Oh, I see. So, you're saying you have nothing substantial to offer? Then, before the woman could react, Han Li shot her in the head, eliminating her from the competition. The viewers in the live stream were taken aback. Incredible. Just saved her and then eliminated her? So ruthless. A bandit should act this way. Listen closely. I risk my life to rescue you, not to carry a bunch of burdens. If anyone dares to hinder me, regardless of gender, they will be shot without hesitation. Han Li roared, issuing a stern warning to the crowd. They nodded vigorously in agreement. You are fierce. We will heed your command. As all the criminal participants crammed into the police armored vehicle, nearly face to face, Han Li commanded, let us charge out. Ling Han shut his eyes, gritted his teeth, and revved the engine, heading directly for the main entrance. Chapter 92, a reckless charge, rendering the police chief speechless. Boom. The police chief exclaimed. What on earth is that noise? The chief was smoking a cigarette, his left eyelid twitching in confusion. Why do I hear the roar of our armored vehicle? It was his prized possession, one he rarely drove. A police officer beside him patted his shoulder, his expression akin to having seen a ghost. Chief, you heard correctly. It is indeed our vehicle. Amidst the rising flames, the roaring sound intensified. A figure, reminiscent of a colossal beast, emerged, forcefully smashing through the obstructing police cars. Charging recklessly forward, the police officers scrambled to flee in terror. The chief collapsed to the ground, stunned. Chief, I tested it. The vehicle is impressive. Han Li poked his head out, waving at the chief. Then, Ling Han pressed the accelerator fiercely, speeding away. That's my prized possession. The chief trembled, pointing in the direction Han Li had departed. Inspector, why are you just standing there? Hurry up and chase after him. Damn it. This lunatic actually exited through the front door? Is he out of his mind? The audience in the live stream erupted. Wow, he really came out through the front door? What a surprise. Damn, my boss Han's thinking is beyond that of ordinary people. Han Li, hey, it's just a game. Damn. The police inspector from City C has been outmaneuvered. Let us get wild. Forget about sleep. I'm going downstairs to welcome Boss Han. Gun in hand, follow me. Ling Han, through the rearview mirror, noticed several police cars tailing them. As expected, even like this, they couldn't shake off the inspector's pursuit. If they were to be relentlessly hounded, they would be in grave danger. Just drive, leave the rest to me. Saying this, Han Li changed the magazine and donned a mask. He left the passenger seat and moved to the back of the car. He glanced at the tied-up female inspector, seized her, and dragged her to the back of the vehicle. You're hurting me. The female inspector was displeased with Han Li's rough handling. Couldn't he be gentler? Little did she know, Han Li pressed her down to the ground, forcing her to kneel. His tone was cold. Madam, I believe you still do not comprehend the situation. I am a notorious criminal. Do you expect a criminal to behave with decorum? Open the car door. Boss Han. The inspector is right behind us. A criminal is afraid. Open the door. Isn't that inviting someone to shoot? The young man, sitting in the corner, controlled the situation by shaking a watermelon knife. Everyone present had witnessed this elderly man in action. One man, one knife, sent the inspectors fleeing in terror. Who would dare provoke him? The young ones didn't dare defy Boss Han, who was also formidable, and hurriedly opened the door. With a click, the door swung open. The cold air rushed into the vehicle, accompanied by the flashing red and blue lights and the blaring sirens of the police. Han Li exhaled deeply, half-squatted, and rested his gun on the female inspector's shoulder before recklessly firing at the police cars behind them. Bang, bang, bang. What the hell? Damn it. The old thief is shameless. Just as the inspectors prepared to retaliate, they discovered Han Li hiding behind their colleague, revealing only his gun. Damn it, what a silent loss. The paintballs struck the windshield of the police car, obstructing their view. Under the relentless assault, the previously furious and resentful inspectors were left speechless by Han Li's merciless onslaught. This is outrageous. Being beaten and not allowed to fight back, it's infuriating. By a stroke of misfortune, one police car collided with the railing, forcing the other vehicles to halt their pursuit. Close it. Han Li put away his gun and instructed the criminal to shut the door again. Everyone watched as Han Li pressed the inspector down, not allowing her to retaliate. They silently acknowledged the spectacle. Boss Han, I have something to say, but I'm not sure if I should. A bespectacled participant rubbed his hands together. Implicitly, he inquired, Hey, are you taking in younger brothers? Han Li, just you? Ling Han informed him of the prerequisites to become his subordinate. Ling Han's voice rang out. Listen closely. When you follow me, Han, it's all about betrayal, selling out your brothers, being unfaithful, framing others, and taking advantage from within. I only embody a fraction of these conditions, and yet you still aspire to be my subordinate? The crowd responded with confusion, all eyes turning to Han Li. Don't look at me. I am not in the know, Han Li replied. So, where do we head next, Han? Obviously, we're going to undertake something significant. We must strike while the iron is hot. With so many of us here, why not rob a bank for some thrill? Excitement surged among the crowd. Brother Han, you wield an AK, and I'll take a shotgun. Let us grow stronger together. This life is entrusted to you. The money? Oh no. We are here to make society better. Just as enthusiasm peaked, Han Li extinguished their fervor, shaking his head. Not today. You all need to find places to hide. I will notify you in a few days. Old Master Chui pulled out more than 20 phones from his bag and distributed them among the criminals. Keep these phones safe. They will serve as our means of communication. The criminals, holding their phones, were puzzled. Han, are you jesting? It's the dead of night. Where can we possibly go? We want to pull off something big. If we go out, we'll certainly be caught by the police. Wouldn't that be in vain? Han Li reiterated. I rescued you, not to carry a bunch of burdens. If you can endure a few days, then you shouldn't follow me. This is also a way to select worthy subordinates. We can't take just anyone, can we? Ling Han parked the armored vehicle in a location devoid of surveillance. Han Li and his two companions exited the vehicle, leaving the bewildered criminals behind. Everyone, do your utmost to survive. With a bang, Han Li shut the door, removed his mask, and vanished into the dark alley with Ling Han and Chui Hao. Meanwhile, a flurry of police cars arrived hastily. Ouyang Rong stepped out and was met with the sight of several police vehicles overturned and ablaze at the entrance of his precinct. What on earth? I stepped away for a moment, and now my home is in ruins? Damn. Chief, I'm late. Ouyang Rong rushed over to the chief, who was being assisted, and promptly apologized. That scoundrel Han Li went and blew up the hallway, leaving us exhausted after struggling to descend from the third and fourth floors. Ouyang Rong, quickly take your men and pursue Han Li. The criminals have been taken by him. Such audacity. Don't worry, I will catch him at once. At that moment, a delivery man on an electric bike approached Ouyang Rong and his team. The crowd was taken aback. Who is this? At a time like this? He is still delivering food? Excuse me, are you Ouyang Rong? Yes, this is an order from a Mr. Han. Enjoy your meal. And please remember to give a 5-star review. Goodbye. Ouyang Rong's mind raced. Mr. Han, he ordered this for me? He opened the package to find a large bowl of cold noodles. Cold noodles? Cold. Chapter 93. The encounter of fake Peiqi with a true bandit. The turmoil within the police precinct has garnered significant attention from the public, prompting the Sea City Police Department to announce that all escaped criminals would be brought to justice. A press conference was convened, reflecting the profound impact of Han Li's recent uprising on the entire police community. Discussions erupted within the various police departments' chat groups. It was widely asserted that Han Li had been eliminated and was required to report to our precinct. Those who dared to challenge me should not blame me for my ruthlessness. Conversely, the director of the Sea City Police Department found himself at a loss for words, uncertain whether to voice his concerns. Is this truly acceptable? In the aftermath, when Li Yi was brought out, his face was swollen and crimson from the beating. Who did this? Ouyang Rong inquired, glancing around. A cautious officer surnamed Wang took a careful step back. After learning the full story, Li Yi expressed his fatigue and declared a need for solitude, deciding to take a few days off to contemplate his next steps. After meeting with the production team, Han Li and his companions calculated the points accrued from the uprising, a staggering 100,000 points. This equated to a profit of 50 million for their group. Han Li was exhilarated, nearly tempted to return to S-City for a second round. Ahem, money is of little consequence. My primary aim is to enhance the capabilities of the police and prevent future crimes. That is my sincere intention, he remarked. You know, holding on to this money has caused me great distress, he added, glancing at his bank balance with a smile. The viewers in the live stream were abuzz with excitement. The taste is just right, Han Li exclaimed. I am not in it for the money, truly. You must believe me. It makes sense, Han. In that case, why not transfer the funds to me? Allow me to bear this burden. After distributing the ill-gotten gains, the trio sought temporary lodging, with no intentions of departing Sea City. Having come this far, it would be unreasonable not to rob a bank. In a few days, they planned to target the largest bank in Sea City, anticipating a substantial monetary yield. However, due to the intense series of heists, Han Li resolved to take a few days to recuperate and grant a brief respite to Ling Han and Grandpa Chui. With time on his hands, Ling Han ventured out onto the streets to hone his thieving skills. Unfortunately, he ended up losing several thousand without stealing much. Grandpa Chui, on the other hand, visited a comrade who had been incapacitated for life due to an ambush by foreign mercenaries during a mission. With no children of his own, Grandpa Chui took it upon himself to care for him. Meanwhile, Han Li remained secluded in his room, diligently working on the development of his Sensation of Bliss version 20. That afternoon, he transformed his appearance into that of a greasy middle-aged man. With the new version nearing completion, it was time to venture out. Upon hearing of a renowned food street in Sea City, he hailed a taxi. However, he quickly noticed an increased police presence. With patrol cars more numerous than usual and officers accompanied by police dogs questioning passersby about their whereabouts, it was evident that Han Li's reputation had spread throughout Sea City. Hey there, my stinky tofu is absolutely delicious. Care for a serving? Han Li gazed longingly at the delectable stinky tofu, ultimately unable to restrain himself. I'll have a portion, he declared. After meandering through the market for a while, his hands were laden with various culinary delights. However, unbeknownst to him, a group of suspicious individuals had set their sights on him from behind. Look at that old fellow. He seems wealthy, one remarked. I bet he pulls out cash in hundreds. Let us rob him. The trio stealthily trailed Han Li, convinced they had evaded his notice. Yet, in reality, Han Li had already sensed the presence of followers and, attuned to their intentions, deliberately wandered into a secluded alley. Is this our chance? They thought as they hurriedly followed. Upon entering the deserted alley, the leader of the group donned a Peppa Pig mask and brandished a specially crafted dagger, threatening Han Li. Hey there, lend me some cash. Just so you know, my brother is the infamous Peppa Pig Han Li, who just robbed the police station in City C yesterday. Impressive, right? Hand over your money if you know what is good for you. The trio sneered, emboldened by Han Li's name, believing that their robbery would proceed without a hitch. Yet, as fate would have it, what was expected to be routine turned unexpectedly chaotic. When Han Li turned to confront them, he initially mistook them for police officers, only to realize they were three bumbling miscreants, one in a Peppa Pig mask, another as Mickey Mouse, and the last as Ultraman. Are you claiming to be Peppa Pig Han Li? The leader boasted, puffing out his chest. What's wrong? Are you scared? He taunted. Hearing that name must frighten you. The audience in Han Li's livestream was taken aback. Wait, is this guy impersonating our Han? Goodness, karma is coming for you, Han. The real and the fake Peppa. What a riot. Han Li, exasperated, thought, can it really be played like this? Am I dreaming? He chuckled heartily, finding their audacity amusing. I stand against piracy. Starting with myself. The leader, misreading Han Li's bewildered expression as fear, grew increasingly arrogant. Listen, it's an honor to be robbed by me, Han Li. Hurry up and hand over your valuables, and maybe, just maybe, I'll let you off easy. Han Li remained unfazed. Instead of retrieving his money, he calmly approached the leader. What do you intend to do? Be careful, or I might eliminate you. He warned. There's a saying in this world, what goes around comes around. As Han Li advanced, the man, sensing his defiance, lunged forward with the dagger aimed at Han Li's chest, intending to eliminate him. Unexpectedly, Han Li was quicker. In a swift motion, he seized the man's dagger. What just happened? One of the lackeys exclaimed, bewildered. The leader, stunned, searched for his weapon, realizing, where's my dagger? His eyes widened in shock. So fast. You're pushing me. The man exclaimed, reaching for his trump card, a weapon he rarely revealed. Wait, where's my gun? He stammered, discovering his pocket was utterly empty. Han Li shook his weapon lightly, revealing a smile. Are you referring to this? The three individuals gasped in shock. How did he manage that? This is terrifying. 10 minutes later, within Han Li's current lodgings, Ling Han and Old Master Cui observed the three young men huddled on the ground, trembling in fear, puzzled by the situation. Upon discovering Han Li's true identity, the trio was utterly petrified. Damn it, we've encountered a genuine thug. Mr. Han, please spare me. It's tough out here for us. They pleaded, sobbing uncontrollably. They had heard tales of Han Li, whose wrath spared neither the police nor even his own kind when he was provoked. Han Li, having shed his disguise, sat on the sofa, fixing his gaze upon the three. He feigned a look of embarrassment, saying, convince me why I shouldn't eliminate you. He brandished his firearm at them. The leader of the group hastily fell to his knees, bowing his head. Mr. Han, please don't eliminate me. I possess a crucial secret regarding the bank and City C. Having reached 200,000 words, today I present an additional chapter. Chapter 94, Explosion, Secret Underground Passage, a Lucrative Venture. Intrigued, Han Li holstered his weapon. Do tell. What do you know? The leader, sensing a temporary reprieve, spoke up. Could you perhaps release my friends first? Do you wish to be shot? The man immediately complied, answering truthfully. Mr. Han, beneath the bank and City C lies an unfinished underground passage that connects directly to the bank. What? Han Li and the others were taken aback. This information was indeed explosive. If true, it would significantly enhance their plans for the upcoming bank heist. What do you think? Are you intrigued? Han Li frowned. If this is true, why haven't you attempted to rob the bank? The leader replied. Brother, do you think everyone is like you? Robbing a bank isn't akin to strolling through your own backyard. We're just three nobodies with the desire but lacking the capability. It would be futile. Ling Han, take this man and investigate. If what he claims is true, you three may yet preserve your lives. But if you deceive me, Han Li, I'm afraid you'll meet a grim fate. The leader felt an inexplicable pressure. Follow me. Ling Han, accompanied by the bound man, drove to the New Rome Bank to verify the existence of the underground passage and scout the area. What about these two? Old Master Cui pointed at the remaining two individuals. Han Li replied, you may do as you wish. I have matters to attend to. The two young men trembled, casting wary glances at Old Master Cui, who smiled benignly. Old man, what are you planning? Nothing much. It's just been a while since I've stretched my limbs. Meanwhile, at the City C police station, tension hung in the air as they fretted over their progress, having only apprehended a couple of escaping criminals after a lengthy pursuit. Fortunately, they had managed to rescue the female police officer who had been taken hostage, and based on her descriptions and the fingerprints collected, the police station had begun to identify their target. He can easily disguise himself, so it matters little who he becomes. Frankly, since Han Li's arrival, the difficulty of apprehending criminals in City C has escalated significantly. Indeed, these offenders seem invigorated by Han Li's words, each one brimming with newfound vigor. Li Yi, having returned to his post, observed the images displayed on the large screen. Han Li is growing stronger, he remarked, catching everyone off guard. What did you say? They queried. We must consider why Han Li is allowing these criminals to escape. Li Yi posed a question. After some contemplation, one suggested, perhaps he aims to increase his points? Unlikely. Han, the old rogue, has already amassed a fortune. He hardly lacks for money, another countered. Indeed, ranking second on the leaderboard is no laughing matter, Ouyang Rong, with some experience, chimed in. Are you suggesting he is expanding his ranks? Not entirely, Li Yi replied. If he were merely expanding, he wouldn't permit these criminals to roam freely. They should be concentrated in one place. Thus, I believe he is testing these criminals, using our police force to sift out the most formidable contenders. Upon hearing Li Yi's analysis, the officers felt a chill run down their spines. So, we have become mere tools for his selection of subordinates? They murmured, brows furrowed. This old rogue is truly a monster, someone whispered. The most terrifying aspect of Han Li is not his skills, but his cunning strategy, akin to a game of chess. He moves one step while you move 10. One misstep leads to a cascade of errors. In ancient times, he would be a legendary warlord. Damn it. Knowing we are being used, yet we must comply. What is this? Ouyang Rong felt a surge of frustration, realizing they had become tools in Han Li's quest for subordinates, yet they could not afford to refrain from making arrests. Officer Ouyang, what are your thoughts? The others turned to him. Ouyang Rong glanced at Li Yi beside him and asked, Brotherly, what do you think? Li Yi replied, wait, what? You weren't like this before. How have you suddenly become so composed? Li Yi had interacted with Han Li several times and learned that sometimes patience is key. One must strike decisively when the opponent is lulled into complacency. As I suspected, Han Li's next move would be to rob a bank, specifically targeting the most prestigious bank in City C. We will deploy from Shinrong Bank, infiltrate, and wait for Han Li to take the bait. Brother, we have arrived. Thank you, master. In a suburban area of City C, Han Li disembarked from the vehicle. He retrieved the envelope and followed the address inscribed upon it, arriving at a certain bar, Angel Bar. Indeed, it was time for Han Li to embark on a grand venture. He intended to deal in contraband. Of course, it was not truly illegal. It was merely a few harmless trinkets he had uniquely crafted. The bar was modest in size, yet it was filled with motorcycles adorned with angel insignias. Out of caution, Han Li, feeling a twitch in his left eyelid, decided to call Old Master Cui, requesting his immediate presence. Upon entering the bar, the atmosphere was chaotic. Some were drinking, others playing billiards, while many were engaged in flirtation. Amidst this eclectic gathering, Han Li swiftly spotted a strangely dressed man, whom he surmised was the contact mentioned in the envelope. Hey, this little angel's tattoo is quite impressive. One might mistakenly think you belong to the underworld of the angels. Han Li sat beside the man, whispering, I have brought what you requested. Joseph glanced at Han Li, continuing to sip his strong liquor. What is going on? Is there a need for a secret code? Han Li leaned closer to Joseph's ear and softly uttered, the king covers the tiger? Logically, the response should have been the pagoda suppresses the river demon. However, Joseph merely continued drinking without acknowledging Han Li, muttering to himself, Boss lady, this liquor isn't strong enough. It lacks a bit of bloodiness. At that moment, a series of loud bangs erupted from the restroom adjacent to the bar. It seemed someone was causing a ruckus. Han Li glanced over. After all, it was a bar, and fights were to be expected. Nevertheless, when he saw two burly men dragging a nearly lifeless man out, his eyes widened. The man, barely clinging to life, was dressed in the attire of the production crew. He was supposed to be the one sent to assist Han Li. Thus, Han Li turned to Joseph. This foreign man took a sip of his liquor, revealing his sharp canines. Recently, he had been impersonating our angels, associating with some ridiculous criminal roleplay. You could say this was a death wish. Ding! Criminal nemesis activated. Suddenly, everyone in the bar ceased their activities, collectively turning their gaze towards Han Li, who sat beside Joseph. Their eyes brimmed with menace, akin to a pack of ravenous wolves eyeing a sheep that wandered into their midst. Han Li's heart sank. Could it be real? Apologies, I mistook you for someone else. Just as Han Li prepared to rise, Joseph slammed his fist on the bar, his expression grave. Brother, since you're here, why not share a drink? The audience in the live stream was bewildered. Damn, we've encountered real gangsters. Han Li mused, this is getting too dramatic. What if it escalates? Just as the viewers anticipated the next development, the live stream screen abruptly went black. Meanwhile, the production team lost contact with contestant Han Li. Chapter 95, no agreement? Then let us not discuss. It's now our private dialogue time, and your behavior is rather inappropriate. Joseph directly removed the mini-camera from Han Li's chest, turning it off and placing it on the table. A tattoo of an angel emerged on the man's chest. Undoubtedly, he was a member of the underground organization Angels. Given the circumstances, he might even be a senior figure. Dangerous. Yet, the more perilous the situation, the calmer Han Li needed to remain. Best actor activated. Everyone was taken aback, sensing an unsettling aura emanating from Han Li. This was precisely what they, as members of the underworld, dreaded encountering. Composure, tranquility, and even a hint of confidence. At that moment, one should be screaming, this script doesn't align? Aren't you afraid? Why fear? If you intend to eliminate me, why have you kept me alive until now? Han Li's words pierced through the tension. If Joseph truly intended to eliminate him, he would have acted sooner rather than engage in idle conversation. One must not forget that the production team possesses the means to locate them at any moment. As anticipated, the authorities should have been alerted by now and were likely en route. Thus, Han Li was unperturbed by the delay, surveying Joseph with curiosity as he inquired, do you angels also recruit foreigners? You little brat. One of Joseph's underlings shattered a bottle and took several strides towards Han Li, seizing him with a fierce glare. Raising the jagged shard of glass, he aimed to thrust it into Han Li's eye. Stop. At that critical moment, Joseph intervened. Consider yourself fortunate. The underling relinquished his grip on Han Li's clothing, grinning as he smoothed the wrinkles from his attire. Joseph waved his hand, signaling his men. They promptly aligned themselves, forming a barrier around the two. You are Han Li, correct? I've watched your live streams. Quite impressive, I must say. At times, I can hardly discern whether you are a genuine rogue or merely acting. The staff member's injuries, evident from the bruises on his face, caught Joseph's attention. Joseph was forthright. We, angels, are eager to collaborate with you. Han Li's heart sank at the revelation that they were aware of the situation. This was troublesome. What do you say? Joseph displayed his sharp canines, a seemingly innocent smile concealing a ruthless intent. This is a transaction that could revolutionize the industry. The higher-ups have stated that your price is negotiable as long as you supply us. In the eyes of these professionals, the commercial potential of Shuang Fanxian surpassed that of any illegal substance on the market due to its addictive side effects. One of the underlings had taken a few puffs and was still struggling to recover. Although your offer is quite tempting, I must decline, Han Li asserted with unwavering conviction. What nonsense is this? A rogue like me would never collaborate with scoundrels like you. I am a good person. Joseph's expression faltered momentarily before darkening, as he waved dismissively. No deal? Fine then. The underlings turned toward Han Li, drawing their weapons, intent on teaching him a lesson. Leave him incapacitated, as long as he can speak. We'll take him back. Joseph lit a cigarette and departed the bar without a backward glance. Outside, a luxury vehicle awaited. Let us go, a burly man sneered. I've heard you are known as the rogue online. Today, I shall show you what a true rogue is. The crowd closed in, leaving Han Li with no avenue for escape. Meanwhile, at the Sea City police station, Ouyang Rong received the alarming call and immediately stood, astonishment etched on his face. What? Has Han Li encountered real gangsters? The police chief replied, indeed. We are currently unable to receive any visuals from him. You must hurry. The director, visibly anxious, paced frantically, fearing that if they delayed, it could result in a fatal outcome. This was no drill. A real crisis had unfolded. All right, Angel Bar, ILL, remember that. Everyone, let us move. We must rescue Han Li. No, save the person. Yes. Li Yi rushed out of the room, hastening towards the scene. The police dispatched numerous patrol cars. As this incident involved the underground organization known as Angels, the situation was dire, with the activities of Angels in City C suddenly surging. Was it aimed at Han Li? But why would they target him? Ouyang Rong was perplexed. Why would a fearsome underground organization set their sights on a mere contestant? Perhaps they coveted Han Li or something he possessed, Li Yi surmised. Simultaneously, he tightened his grip on his firearm. This time it was real. After so long in drills, it was time to witness the fruits of their labor. A fierce demeanor emerged from Li Yi, one he had not exhibited since participating in the program. He was not alone. The other officers had transformed, their presence suddenly commanding. There it was. The officers spotted the Angels Bar, its entrance crowded with motorcycles. Inside, the sounds of a fierce brawl erupted, accompanied by anguished cries. This was bad. They had to storm in. Ouyang Rong and Li Yi alighted from their vehicle, not daring to waste a moment, leading their team towards the bar. An armed officer hurled a tear gas canister inside. As the gas dissipated, Ouyang Rong counted down. 3, 2, 1. He led the charge into the bar. Don't move. Raise your hands, commanded the officers, weapons drawn and ready. However, the next moment left them dumbfounded. A man adorned with angels' tattoos was hurled into the air, crashing to the ground before their eyes. The bar was in disarray, broken and shattered, with underlings sprawled haphazardly on the floor, frothing at the mouth. The only one still standing, an elderly man, was delivering resounding slaps to a subordinate. This is what happens when you act recklessly. Dare to be part of the underworld again? How can I respond when you keep slapping me? The young man whimpered. The officers were bewildered. They had barely entered before the fight was over. Who is this old man? Cui Hao, is that you? Li Yi recognized the figure, lowering his weapon. Cui Hao? The armed officers gazed at the old man as if he were a legend. He was the former captain of the Dragon Special Forces, an almost mythical figure. In an instant, the officers transformed into admirers, looking at Cui Hao with awe. You arrived just in time. These rascals are yours now. I was merely passing by, Cui Hao remarked, making no effort to linger. He swiftly departed, riding away on his electric scooter. Hey, Cui Sr., Li Yi called out. But by then, the man had vanished, leaving the bewildered officers behind. Where was Han Li? Why was he not present? Meanwhile, on a distant road, Joseph was smoking, contemplating which club to visit for the evening's entertainment. Suddenly, the car came to a halt. What the hell, how are you driving? The traffic officer ahead is stopping cars, the driver replied. What? Up ahead, a traffic officer approached, presenting a ticket that was affixed to the vehicle. He then walked to Joseph's window and knocked. Please roll down your window. The voice seemed to belong to a young man. Joseph lowered the car window and smiled, inquiring. Officer, have I committed an offense? You have made a grave mistake. Just as Joseph was bewildered, a sudden recognition of the man's features struck him. It was impossible. He could hardly believe his eyes, wide with shock, as if he had encountered a ghost in the dead of night. What are you doing here, Han Li? At that moment of Joseph's astonishment, Han Li raised the syringe he had long prepared, and in the blink of an eye, plunged it into Joseph's neck. Damn it. Han Li smirked, retrieving his phone, which displayed Joseph's location. You shouldn't have provoked me, Joseph. In the last instant before Joseph lost consciousness, darkness enveloped him, and on his pale visage was a gaze devoid of emotion, akin to that of one observing a lifeless body. Chapter 96. Enter my live stream. I will teach you how to bury someone in real time. Han Li's live stream was still shrouded in darkness. No way. Han will not. Oh, Han. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. No, I still want to see your show. Alas, it's too late. Indeed, a show is merely a show, incomparable to the real criminals. Backstage at the production team, a significant incident had occurred. The director paced anxiously, hoping fervently that no lives would be lost. Just then, a staff member exclaimed, Director, Han Li's live stream has resumed. What? The director snatched the device, staring at Han Li's broadcast. Simultaneously, countless viewers flooded the screen with comments urging, rest assured, we will take care of it. On screen, a Peppa Pig mask appeared, causing the audience to flinch. Don't worry, I'm fine, but someone else is in trouble. As he spoke, the camera shifted to reveal Joseph, bound and lying before a freshly dug pit. Whimpering in terror, beneath the moonlight, Ling Han, accompanied by 3 miscreants, vigorously dug with shovels. Don't ask. The answer is to ensure your eternal rest. The viewers in the live stream were left dumbfounded. Is Han really going to bury someone? Wait, ISNT that the gang leader? Surely, this is just a scare tactic. Right? My goodness, burying a gang member alive. This is outrageous. Han Li declared, I don't care who you are. I will take you all down. Previously, those who doubted Han Li's capabilities were now silenced. The audience in the live stream were not the only ones shaken. Even the director backstage found his eyelids twitching. What the? For a moment, he could not discern who the true gangster was. Could Han Li truly be serious? No way, they insisted. He was a good person. Joseph gazed into the increasingly deep pit, turning his eyes towards Han Li, the madman. Han Li approached, yanked the cloth from Joseph's mouth, and asked, I will give you one last chance. Where is your headquarters? Joseph spat on the ground, cursing vehemently. Go play with your nonsense, you little brat. His resolve was evident. He was not a weakling like those characters portrayed in television dramas. Betray the organization? Dream on. Ah, I admire your tenacity. Han Li said as he pulled him up, glancing at the nearly finished Ling Han. Ling Han understood the cue and handed his shovel to Han Li. Joseph found it amusing. They were mimicking the act quite convincingly. Han Li, you lack the courage. Murder is not something to be feigned. Oh, do you underestimate me? Little Peppa Pig? Joseph retorted, I do look down on you. If you have the guts, kill me. I am a man of iron and resolve. In the next moment, Han Li wielded the shovel and, in front of millions of viewers in the live stream, struck Joseph squarely in the face. Thud. Joseph felt his nasal bone shatter. An overwhelming pain surged through him, and his head spun. The metallic scent of blood enveloped his dislodged teeth. He stared wide-eyed at Han Li, who maintained an impassive expression. For the first time, he was taken aback. I've never encountered such a perverse demand before. Han Li set down the shovel and kicked the moaning Joseph into a deep pit. He waved to Ling Han and the others, instructing, bury him. The three frightened individuals trembled. Are we really burying him? Hurry up. Ling Han was the first to grab a shovel, filling the pit with dirt. The others followed suit, genuinely appearing as if they were about to bury someone. Witnessing this scene, millions of viewers were left in shock. Countless staff members behind the scenes were equally dumbfounded. The director covered his mouth, unable to believe his eyes. Good heavens, are they really burying someone live? Has Han Li gone mad? The barrage of comments in the live stream overwhelmed the screen. What on earth is happening? Quick, everyone to Han Li's stream. They're burying someone. Live burial? It's going viral. The internet is exploding. This is incredible. Our Han is something else. Han Li remarked. This was his own suggestion. I didn't force him. I swear. Across the entire Sea City, people rose from their beds, entering Han Li's live stream, startled by Joseph's heart-wrenching screams. However, just as the situation reached its climax, Han Li abruptly cut the feed. Viewers in the live stream. Staff. Director? Director, should we call the police? Suddenly, the director's phone rang. He answered, and the voice of the chief of the Sea City Police Department resonated on the other end. Brother, come to my station for a chat. Han Li, you've put me in a predicament. In the pit, Joseph trembled, trying to convince himself that this was merely a scare tactic. Han Li wouldn't dare to commit murder. But as the dirt began to cover his mouth and nose, panic set in. Han Li, wait. Give me a chance. What? You said to be faster? Han Li replied. Oh, no problem. Ling Han vigorously shoveled the dirt. These lunatics. Damn it. You are the real gangsters here. Han Li, I surrender. I shall reveal everything to you. I beg you. I do not wish to die. Half buried in the dirt, only his nostrils and mouth visible, Joseph was nearly in tears. These individuals truly intended to end his life. Han Li waved his hand, instructing, enough, lift him up. Ling Han hastily set down his shovel, feigning ferocity earlier, but he too was frightened. Kill someone? Such audacity. After all, they were the good guys. Coughing violently, Joseph, who had narrowly escaped death, felt as though his lungs were filled with sand. At that moment, his clothing was tattered and stained with blood, leaving him utterly dejected. The three ruffians glanced at Han Li, a wave of trepidation washing over them. Joseph, a wise man knows how to adapt to circumstances. You have performed admirably. Now, shall we go to my residence for a cup of hot tea and discuss everything? Han Li said with a smile. Joseph trembled, too terrified to resist Han Li. This man was a lunatic. Very well. Han Li's intent was to instill fear in Joseph, to establish his own image as a cold-blooded individual. On the way back, Ling Han drove, puzzled. Mr. Han, why not hand him over to the police? Let them handle the investigation. After sending an anonymous message to someone on his phone, Han Li responded to Ling Han's inquiry. It's quite simple. I aim to engage in a black market transaction. Eliminate the angel. Upon hearing this, Ling Han was so startled that he inadvertently pressed the brake, bringing the car to a halt. The three ruffians? Joseph? Ling Han. Brother, are you serious? Mr. Han, you are still young. Do not tread the path of crime. Ling Han grasped Han Li's shoulder and shook him vigorously. We have already robbed a bank. What more do you want? However, it seems you have misunderstood my intentions. Han Li leaned closer to Ling Han's ear and whispered the plan. Behind them, Joseph raised his gaze, coldly observing the two. Eliminate the angel? Just you? Chapter 97. Hey, a feigned attack, are you afraid? Upon returning to their abode, Han Li first bound Joseph and tossed him into an unoccupied room. There was no rush regarding the matter of the angel. Patience was key. To preserve his image as a model citizen, Han Li made a call to the production team, explaining the entire situation. Then he turned to Ling Han and the ruffian. What about the bank? Mr. Han, I have examined it. There is indeed a passage. The confirmation brought an unmistakable gleam of surprise to Han Li's face, though he quickly regained his composure. Then can we? The three ruffians, having witnessed Han Li's earlier madness, were eager to leave. Certainly, but before that, do you know the value of a point? What? Ling Han. A familiar sensation. Within minutes, the eyes of the three ruffians sparkled with visions of wealth. Money, money, money. Bah. We are here to contribute to a better society. Indeed, certainly not for monetary gain. With these words, the three individuals took the bait, prompting Han Li to turn his head and chuckle softly. He then composed himself, adopting a poker face as he addressed the assembly. Esteemed colleagues, I have devised a plan. In his mind, Han Li had been formulating a strategy for the impending bank heist scheduled for days hence. Now, with the lead of a subterranean passage, his confidence soared to nearly 90%. An additional 10% might tempt pride. This is the plan. Do you all comprehend? Han Li surveyed Ling Han and the group of misfits. For this caper, they would be divided into two factions. One group would consist of Han Li, the bank team, Grandpa Chui, and the previously rescued contestants. The other would involve Ling Han and the misfits, tasked with executing a separate operation. Han Li noted the hesitant expression on Ling Han's face. Indeed, this was Ling Han's inaugural solo mission. He was, in essence, the leader of this small team, thus bearing greater pressure. Ling Han, should you encounter difficulties, do not hesitate to confide in me. Ling Han murmured. Is there any way I can opt out? Not a chance. This day was inevitable. With a thump on his chest to bolster his resolve, Ling Han declared, Mr. Han, I shall strive earnestly. So shall I. The trio of misfits remained oblivious, dutifully executing their tasks. One word, go? Excellent. Rest well today, tomorrow we act. Han Li retrieved his phone and sent a message to the remaining criminals yet to be eliminated. The time has come. As night fell, while some remained lost in slumber, certain criminals had risen early, beginning their preparations. Review the plan. Should you have questions, inquire of me. Ling Han turned to the three behind him. The foremost man picked up a mask and asked, Bro, I'm not fond of Donald Duck. Could I have the Monkey King mask instead? It's so cool. Is that even suitable for you? Ling Han retorted with a sidelong glance. Surely that would be more imposing than the leader? At this moment, he was indeed the head of the team. How could a junior outshine the elder? Before long, a van halted before a newly opened jewelry store. Ling Han was the first to exit. The misfit group glanced around, and upon seeing no one, they followed Ling Han inside with bags in hand. Sir, may I ask you robbers? Ling Han exclaimed, bewildered. How did you figure that out? Turning back, he cursed. Those three misfits still hadn't removed their masks. Fear not the enemy that resembles a god, but be wary of teammates akin to swine. Ling Han covered his face, lamenting, before the mission could commence, I may perish. Ultimately, he donned a mask, albeit this time it was that of Peppa Pig. Through Han Li's livestream, some viewers caught a glimpse of Ling Han's antics. What on earth? Wasn't he Mickey before? Mickey exclaimed, damn it, my teammates have ruined me. Ling Han raised his specialized firearm skyward and began to fire wildly. Everyone freeze. This is a robbery. Hurry, hurry. Once they had gained control over the patrons, the three misfits smashed the display cases, carelessly seizing jewels to stuff into their bags. Meanwhile, Ling Han entered the surveillance room, inserting the USB drive that Mr. Han had provided. With a flicker of blue screens, the data was altered. The surveillance footage captures a moment frozen in time, just before they raised their weapons to commit the robbery. After the completion of the task, Ling Han steps out of the monitoring room and glances at the hostages on the floor. Do not eliminate me, they plead. After much hesitation, Ling Han ultimately overcomes his previous reluctance to fire. He pulls the trigger on several individuals, ensuring that this robbery leaves no survivors. The audience in the live broadcast gasps in shock. Goodness, did they just kill everyone right off the bat? He asks, starting to resemble General Han. Without lingering, Ling Han and his accomplices gather the jewels and board a truck, swiftly departing the scene. It won't be long before the police station learns of the events that transpired here. Ling Han, glancing at the navigation, takes a deep breath, opens the car door, and raises his firearm, abandoning any pretense. This time, they target a luxury car dealership. The same words, the same tactics, eliminate the hostages, alter the surveillance footage, and leave without a trace. Yet, they arrive in a modest van and depart in the latest luxury vehicles. Each time, he selects smaller shops with only 1 or 2 personnel. Speed is of the essence. It seems he has no intention of lingering. Wow. He has truly mastered the art of robbery. Within less than an hour, he has robbed over 10 establishments. Meanwhile, at the police station, Inspector Li Yi, reminiscing about the coffee from City S, is preparing to lay an ambush at the bank in City C when one of the operators suddenly stands up. What did you say? There is someone in City C wearing a Peppa Pig mask robbing places? Thank you for your assistance. The operator, in a frenzy, turns to Li Yi. Officer Li, we have a situation. A citizen reported that a suspect believed to be Han Li is robbing multiple locations. Li Yi. Inspector? That is impossible. The monitoring room shows everything is normal across all major stores in City C. We need to investigate. Li Yi calls Inspector Ouyang Rong, who is currently stationed at the bank in City C, waiting with nearly all the officers in the precinct. Unexpectedly, he receives Li Yi's call and quickly drives to the reported location. Upon arrival, he is taken aback. Inside the jewelry store, the display cases are shattered, and 2 or 3 hostages, covered in paintball markings, quietly huddle in the corner. This has definitely been robbed. Why didn't you call the police? The hostages reply. We've been eliminated. Isn't that akin to being dead? No one could have anticipated that Han Li would forsake the large City C bank to target these smaller shops. They, the notorious criminals, resorted to stealing such trivial items? With their manpower already stretched thin for the bank ambush, it naturally provided Han Li with an opportunity. Damn it, Li Yi. Didn't you say Han Li prefers robbing banks? Ouyang Rong had followed Li Yi's advice and diverted police resources. Li Yi, equally bewildered, contemplates, something is off. This fellow is far too greedy. How could one be drawn to such an inconsequential establishment? Reports indicate that surveillance captured a luxury vehicle yet to obtain a license plate. Within the footage, Li Yi recognized the familiar visage of a Peppa Pig mask. This group had pilfered something, presumably en route to a designated delivery location. Where might that be? He contemplated how to handle this luxury vehicle discreetly, without arousing the suspicions of others. C-City possesses a few docks, 3, to be precise. At this hour, which one remains operational? It must be the Wanchai dock. Li Yi seized the walkie-talkie and addressed Ouyang Rong on the other end. I have deduced their intention. They aim to deliver at Wanchai dock. Prepare an ambush there. Understood. Given the circumstances, Ouyang Rong had no choice but to mobilize the majority of the police force toward the dock for an ambush. As police cars departed from the C-City bank, a glimpse of a Peppa Pig mask emerged from the nearby foliage. Han Li smiled, realizing that his tip-off had borne fruit. Everyone, it's time to act. With a rustling sound, over a dozen figures materialized from the underbrush. Chapter 98, The Peppa Gang, has arrived. Impressive, this Han is remarkably adept at diverting so many officers without breaking a sweat. One criminal marveled. Indeed, he was no stranger to the ranks of the powerful, being the second most notorious figure on the list. These criminals had endured considerable hardship to evade the officers, only to receive a message from Han Li the day prior, summoning them to gather near the C-City bank. Without a second thought, they knew that, true to Han's nature, a bank heist was imminent. Initially, upon seeing a large contingent of officers, there was concern that their plans might be thwarted. Unexpectedly, however, it appeared the officers had received some intelligence, cursing as they made their departure. This was an extraordinary opportunity. Damn it, following Han is indeed a game-changer. If this heist succeeds, I could retire on the spot. Each criminal's gaze shimmered with greed, for that was the largest bank in C-City. Simultaneously, they gazed upon the figure ahead, growing increasingly in awe. Not only had he rescued them, but he was also guiding them toward prosperity, a true leader. Han Li surveyed the inadequately defended C-City bank, marking the success of his first step. He turned to those beside him and declared, "Put on your masks. Phase 2 commences." Yes, an eager accomplice relayed the message. Soon, from the thicket emerged a host of pig-headed masks, all uniformly Peppa Pig, except for Uncle Chui, who still preferred Ultraman. Everyone, our motto, grow larger, grow stronger. Excellent. Han Li donned his own Peppa Pig mask, brandished a submachine gun, and gestured for the group to wait as he stealthily took a separate route. The audience erupted in excitement. Oh, I see now. Ling Han is merely a decoy to draw the officers away. Target, C-City Bank, charge forth. Officers. Heavens have fallen, Peppa rules the day. Popcorn is ready, General Han, please commence your performance. Today is a splendid day. The security guard at the bank is in high spirits, stepping out for a breath of fresh air. Yet, after only a few steps, he is unexpectedly pulled into the bushes. Yumiati. Hush. The guard spots a man dressed in a suit, sporting a Peppa Pig accessory. This attire, it's Han Li. The citizens of City C have certainly seen the show. Fame, it seems, is a double-edged sword. Without further ado, Han Li swiftly takes him down. Before departing, he rummages through the guard's belongings, confiscating the access card, allowing entry into the bank, and the keys to the back door. These will prove useful later. Brother, what's the matter? You've been eliminated. My child quite admires you. Could we take a photo? Han Li responds, no way, big brother. I'm a notorious bandit. Although Han Li persistently refers to himself as a bandit, everyone knows that, thanks to him, the city's crime rate has plummeted. Moreover, let us not forget that Peppa Pig still holds a spot on the police rankings. While the public may disdain him, they cannot help but express gratitude. To agree would be rather undignified, he remarks, pulling out his phone to snap a picture for the man. Make sure your child doesn't follow in my footsteps. Han Li has no desire to become a role model for children. After all, he portrays a truly wicked character. Little did he expect the guard to respond, rest assured. My child has declared that he will grow up to be a police chief, personally apprehending you. Han Li, consider it a request. With that, Han Li departed without a glance back, leaving the audience bewildered. Sundara? Han Li, clutching the keys, opens a rear entrance to the bank. Upon entering, he disables the surveillance cameras. At that moment, an employee emerges and, upon spotting Han Li, is about to cry out, only to have her mouth and nose covered by him. Shoo, shall we play a game? He drags her aside. The female employee looks at Han Li in terror. This cannot be good. The audience is left in a state of confusion. Something feels amiss. Quick, let me hear the generous follow-up. Before long, Han Li allows the criminals to enter through the back door. He secures explosives to the employee on the ground, gagging her, and begins to rob while escorting her. In one swift motion, they charge from the back to the front hall. The bank's patrons are utterly unprepared for this audacious heist. The security guard has yet to react. Bang! A fearsome criminal eliminates a teller on the spot, then opens fire, proclaiming in a booming voice, Peppa Pig's gang is here. Apologies for the inconvenience. The crowd crouches on the floor, paralyzed by fear, unwilling to resist. The familiar scent of chaos has returned. Miss. Thinking of alerting the authorities? Perhaps you'd prefer to join me in a discussion about life in the back. A slender, tall man intercepts a female employee attempting to call for help. It must be said, there are advantages to numbers. The numerous criminals are well coordinated. Without needing further instructions from Han Li, they swiftly gain control over the hostages present. Han Li stands at the center. The female employee, bound with explosives, was forced to kneel, allowing all the hostages to witness her dire predicament. With a voice laced with a hint of seduction, he proclaimed, ladies and gentlemen, you are all aware of the rules of this show. I believe none among you would turn your back on money, would you? As anticipated, the hostages complied, realizing that prolonging their lives would lead to greater rewards from the production team. Surely, this was more lucrative than their mundane jobs. Han Li was poised to instruct a few criminals to begin collecting money. To his surprise, one of the criminals had already coordinated seamlessly, brandishing a bag for money while holding the manager hostage, making their way towards the back. Indeed, strength lies in numbers. One could only wonder how Ling Han was faring on his end. After all, he was alone, accompanied by 3 inept individuals, drawing nearly all the police force's attention. Speaking of which, the third phase was about to commence. Report, surveillance indicates that the luxury vehicle should be arriving shortly. A police chief addressed Ouyang Rong. Ouyang Rong looked back at the eager officers and revealed a knowing smile. Splendid, they were merely waiting for the big catch. This time, they had set an ambush in advance. Surely, Han Li would find it impossible to escape. As long as he drove the luxury car into the dock, there would be no chance of evasion. While the officers awaited Han the old thief to unwittingly walk into their trap at the Sea City Police Station, where Li Yi was stationed, the officer monitoring the road surveillance suddenly furrowed his brow. Li Yi took note of this and inquired, what's the matter? The officer responsible for tracking the luxury vehicle appeared grim, stating, Officer Li, the luxury car has turned back. The officers were taken aback. What on earth? They were almost at the dock, yet it had turned back. This was dire news. A police officer rushed in, panting heavily, and shouted, we have received a report. The Sea City Bank has been robbed. It was reported that over a dozen criminals donned matching Peppa Pig masks. The officers stood in stunned silence. Over a dozen Peppa Pigs? This was outrageous. Li Yi could hardly fathom that, at this moment, the Sea City Bank was under siege. What madness was this? Just as the police had departed, the bank was attacked? Undoubtedly, this was another grand scheme orchestrated by Han Li. Chapter 99. Have you ever encountered such audacious robbers? Well, today you have. All the attending officers were caught off guard. The sudden appearance of over a dozen Peppa Pigs? They now had a team, it seemed. Was the dock merely a feint? Was the real assault on Sea City Bank poised to commence immediately after we withdrew? Li Yi pondered to himself. At this juncture, it was impossible to ascertain Han Li's true hiding place. He promptly ordered Officer Ouyang Rong to head to Sea City Bank for encirclement. Yes, these more than a dozen Peppa Pigs were undoubtedly the criminals Han Li had released days prior. With more manpower came greater complications. Just as Li Yi was about to find himself in a precarious situation, he remained remarkably composed, displaying no signs of panic. After all, everyone has their own cards to play. Li Yi retrieved his mobile phone, where an unfamiliar number was displayed. Codename, Lizard, securely hidden. He sent a message. Shortly thereafter, a reply arrived. Yes, Commander. Li Yi tucked away his phone and addressed the surrounding police officers. Deploy 30% of your forces to pursue that luxury vehicle. You are tasked with determining its probable route. We cannot allow it to evade capture. This tale of Han Li must be eliminated. Upon receiving Li Yi's message, Ouyang Rong seethed with anger. Han Li, indeed, was a source of irritation. Without hesitation, he led his subordinates toward the Sea City Bank. Meanwhile, several criminals had seized the bank manager and arrived at the vault where cash was stored. Bundles of cash were securely housed within numerous safes. It appeared that this bank had exercised prudence, opting not to consolidate all funds in one place for convenience. Damn it, this complicates things. Fortunately, we outnumber them. The group pondered whether Han had considered the logistics of their operation. After all, wasn't it more lucrative to be a mere tool? The criminals began unlocking the safes, filling bags with cash. Once a bag was filled, it was sent up for transport, where accomplices awaited. One criminal, peering through a window, spotted police cars parked outside the bank. It wouldn't be long before they surrounded the premises. They're here. Han, the cops have arrived. At that moment, Han Li sat in a chair, brandishing a gun aimed at a female employee bound with explosives to intimidate the hostages present. This was their first bank heist, and some of the criminals felt a pang of anxiety. What are you so nervous about? Just take a few hostages outside to keep the police in line. Han Li remarked nonchalantly, showing no concern. Indeed, two criminals seized two hostages, positioning them in front of themselves as they advanced toward the bank's entrance. Ouyang. The officers have just disembarked from their vehicles and noticed the hostages emerging from the bank, accompanied by their captors. One criminal shouted menacingly, "Don't move, otherwise I'll eliminate the hostages." He pointed his firearm directly at the head of one hostage, brazenly exposing himself to the officers. His audacity was palpable. Damn it. This must be one of Han Li's underlings. Ouyang Rong observed the criminal's arrogance with disdain. He signaled for his officers to lower their weapons, temporarily abandoning the idea of a forceful assault, and instead initiated negotiations. Stay calm. Let us discuss your demands. It's likely something along the lines of a bus. Having reviewed Han Li's earlier bank heist, Ouyang recalled that Han had requested a bus to transport the stolen money. He had prepared for this eventuality. Should the criminals attempt a repeat performance, he had equipped armed officers to hide within the bus, ready for a surprise ambush. As anticipated, the criminal deemed a bus to be the most prudent choice at this juncture. Just as negotiations were about to commence, Han Li's voice crackled through the communication headsets he had previously provided to each criminal. After making his own modifications, he would not be eavesdropped by the police chief. He closed his mouth and, with the hostage in tow, approached the police chief, standing motionless. The criminal was taken aback, thinking, isn't this simply surrendering? Suddenly, from behind, another criminal brandished a firearm, pressing it against his lower back, whispering, "This is a command from Boss Han. Do you dare to fight?" The first criminal's heart raced. "What the hell? Aren't we in this together?" Boss Han stated, "Should you refuse, I am authorized to eliminate you and claim your share." A wicked smile crept across the second criminal's face. "Damn it, my patience is wearing thin." The audience was left in a state of bewilderment. Everyone is a villain. This is truly a masterstroke. My goodness. The first criminal had no choice but to steel himself and, with the hostage, walked out of the bank, inching toward the police. Witnessing this unfolding scene, the police were even more astonished. What on earth? Ouyang Rong stared, wide-eyed, as the hostage-taker approached him, mouth agape. Isn't this merely a step away? Have you lost your mind? Or do you think we are incapable of firing our weapons? The criminal echoed Han Li's words. And then there was silence. He stood there, dazed, gazing at Ouyang Rong and the other officers behind him. Ouyang Rong and the criminal locked eyes, each sizing the other up. How much do I resemble my former self? Meanwhile, the female host was puzzled by the criminal's immobility when Professor Li, visibly alarmed, exclaimed, "Can't you see? Genius. Han Li is a criminal mastermind." The host observed Professor Li with an expression akin to that of an old man encountering a young beauty on the street. "Are you all right? Don't you see? This is blatant surveillance, and the police are powerless against it. Any movement, and he will see it all. Fundamentally, this puts the police in a passive position." Ouyang Rong quickly realized the gravity of the situation. "Han Li, have you set them up with a human surveillance system?" The police officers also began to understand, their expressions shifting to one of even greater shock. "So audacious. Are you aiming for the heavens?" The audience erupted in astonishment. Is this even possible? Ouyang Rong, however, was not particularly concerned about this criminal. He recognized him as merely a pawn in Han Li's game, dispensable. What he needed to do now was await the reinforcements that Li Yi would bring. Indeed, soon he would launch an assault, and this time, they would have an insider at the bank providing cover. Among the hostages, a rotund man clad in a coat and adorned with a gold necklace stammered, "Brother robber, I need to urinate. It's urgent. Damn it. Lazy people have urgent needs. Let us go. I'll take you." One of the participants led him toward the restroom. After all, nature calls, and it was understandable. Upon entering the restroom, the man expressed his gratitude. "Thank you, brother." A grin spread across his face. "Oh, you have tattoos too?" The criminal noticed a lizard tattoo on the man's neck. "Indeed, a lizard. How audacious, to have the same tattoo as I do." The criminal kicked the man. In the midst of this, the man stumbled and fell to the ground. Pathetic. "Hey, could you lend me a hand?" he pleaded, gazing at the criminal with a pitiful expression. The criminal, unable to contain his disdain, completely lowered his guard, failing to notice the mocking smirk at the corner of the man's mouth. Chapter 100. This is a high-stakes game. Just as the criminal was about to help the embarrassed man up, the latter suddenly seized him. The once unassuming man's eyes sharpened dramatically. Taking advantage of the criminal's momentary lapse in vigilance, he delivered a few swift punches, swiftly subduing him. "Who on earth are you?" the criminal exclaimed in panic, unable to believe that this seemingly rotund man possessed such formidable skills. Without further ado, the man rendered the criminal unconscious and dragged him into a private room. He stripped the criminal of his clothing and revealed his own well-built physique by removing the abdominal padding. The man had merely masqueraded as a passerby. His true identity was that of a retired Special Forces soldier. Donning a Peppa Pig mask, he transformed into one of the robbers. From beneath his feet, he retrieved a concealed communicator and sent a message, "Lizard in position." Ding. On the other end, Li Yi, who had just arrived near the bank, received the message and could not suppress his excitement. It's done. Long before Han Li attempted to rob the bank, Li Yi had not only deployed police forces, but had also prepared a contingency plan. He had enlisted a retired Special Forces soldier to secretly disguise himself as a passerby and infiltrate the bank, ready to act at a moment's notice. Should the bank be robbed, he would serve as an invaluable pawn. Now, with the message from Lizard, it was confirmed that he had successfully infiltrated the enemy's ranks. This meant that the police now had an insider. No matter what schemes Han Li concocted, they would be forewarned. In the past, Han Li had always been one step ahead. This time, however, it would be Li Yi who outmaneuvered Han Li at every turn. Viewers in the live stream were astounded. Wow, what a brilliant move by Black Cat Police Chief. This is bad news for you, Han. With so many criminals, all wearing Peppa masks, who would notice anything amiss? Han Li thought to himself, damn it, this kid is getting smarter by the day. As the criminal gang led by Han Li confronted the police led by Ouyang Rong and Li Yi outside the bank, no one noticed the clandestine underground passage of Sea City Bank. Old Master Chui, do we have any light? In the pitch-black tunnel, a flicker of flame ignited. Old Master Chui held up a makeshift torch, glancing around the neglected passageway, which bore a half-finished sign forbidding entry. The air was thick with a foul stench, and a few rats scurried past, weaving through the spider webs that adorned the walls. This wretched place surely had seen no visitors, right? Behind him trailed 3 furtive criminals. The 4 of them had been dispatched by Han to implement the 3rd phase of the plan. Due to the intricate nature of the underground passage, it was imperative for them to mark their path along the way to identify the optimal escape route. What if, in a moment of misfortune, for thugs, and a large rat appeared? Cursed be the ominous predictions. If one finds the task too arduous, perhaps they should trade places with the higher-ups? We are merely fatigued, while the superiors are engaged in a fierce confrontation with the police, facing the risk of being eliminated. It is exceedingly perilous. Is there a shortcut here? Elder Chui brushed his fingers against the damp stone wall and discovered a narrow path nearby. With a swift motion, he slipped inside. At the end of the passage, Elder Chui glimpsed a distant forest and a small stream, his expression lighting up with surprise. To his astonishment, this narrow path led directly to the outside. The viewers in the live broadcast were left dumbfounded by this revelation. What the hell? The bank in City C actually possessed a direct underground passage to the outside. It turns out that from the very beginning, General Han had contemplated an escape route. No wonder he exuded such confidence, not even bothering to requisition a bus. This was his trump card. How did General Han discover it? Goodness, I have been in City C for so long and was unaware of this underground passage. Remarkable. The police chief was astounded. Han Li remarked, can it be true that some believe I, Han Li, am just a reckless fool? Meanwhile, outside the bank, the police chief had completed the necessary arrangements. Li Yi arrived at the scene and consulted Ouyang Rong about the informant he had placed within the bank. Ouyang Rong responded, you, my friend, are full of surprises. Having an insider is undoubtedly a substantial advantage. Unfortunately, the surveillance has been compromised. Otherwise, we could gauge the number of adversaries we face. Ouyang Rong sighed, acknowledging that Han Li's hacking skills were unparalleled. On another note, what was the criminal's intention? Li Yi pointed towards the assailant, who stood resolutely, resembling a steadfast dog, as he held a hostage, ready to relay information to General Han inside the bank. Ouyang Rong waved dismissively. No worries about the human surveillance. After all, Han Li would never anticipate that we would execute a direct assault. Li Yi nodded in agreement. The two had devised their strategy the moment the bank was robbed. Now, with their own personnel inside the bank and ample police force outside, they possessed the advantage of timing, location, and manpower. This time, the odds were in their favor. Sniper, eliminate that human surveillance. Li Yi commanded. In the next instant, the unsuspecting criminal heard the sharp crack of a gunshot, followed by a burst of colored smoke emanating from his body. Eliminated. The hostage was safely retrieved by the police, and the criminal lay on the ground, effectively counted as deceased. The surveillance was swiftly dismantled. Concurrently, Ouyang Rong issued commands for simultaneous assaults from both the left and right entrances. You all, circle around to the back door and catch Han Li off guard. Everyone, we must apprehend all the criminals this time. Li Yi summoned all available police forces. There was no choice. Han Li had brought a gang of criminals with him. If a strong offensive was necessary, the police force must be no less than 100. Thus, he was compelled to redirect the forces pursuing Ling Han to reinforce this operation. As the saying goes, one cannot have both fish and bear's paw. Reluctant to part with the child, yet unable to ensnare the wolf, Li Yi's gaze revealed a resolute determination, breaking his previous silence. Subsequently, his concealed strategy began to unfold. The retired Special Forces soldier donned a Peppa Pig mask, remaining undetected among his comrades, who had been expertly replaced by the police captain. This maneuver was flawlessly executed. Apologies, brother. He bound the unconscious man, stuffing him into a cloth and discarding him in a solitary room. Beep, beep. At that moment, his secret intercom crackled to life with Li Yi's message. The lizard has commenced creating disturbances. This so-called disruption involved acting as an inside informant, coordinating with the police captain. The lizard was aware that the captain outside was about to launch a vigorous assault. The time had come for him to showcase his prowess. Taking a deep breath, he resembled a hero preparing for battle as he opened the restroom door and walked towards the main hall. Yet, after only a few steps, he found the criminals inside the bank congregated together, seemingly aware of his presence. All the criminals turned in unison, their gazes fixed upon the lizard. At that moment, he nearly met his demise from fright. To his astonishment, the masks worn by the criminals had transformed from Peppa Pig into Ultraman. Thus, the most awkward scene unfolded. A multitude of Ultraman masks gazed down upon the incongruous Peppa Pig, a chilling death stare. The retired Special Forces soldier, clad in Peppa Pig, felt a cold sweat trickle down his back, his scalp prickling. Chapter 101. Hanli, I can earn money while sitting. This script feels off. The retired soldier observed the situation spiraling out of control. Brothers, weren't we supposed to be Peppa? A splendid Peppa at that. How did it turn into Ultraman? The criminals wore enigmatic smiles, their faces seemingly saying, come see, there's an honest man here. Amidst this grave atmosphere, Hanli stood up and applauded. Turning to the incongruous little Peppa, his voice turned icy as he remarked, so it's you, little rascal. What does that mean? I can't comprehend. The retired soldier's mask was drenched in sweat, panic setting in. One criminal displayed a disdainful expression. Han had previously mentioned that to prevent infiltration by spies, they had agreed to switch to Ultraman masks after 15 minutes, a fact well known to everyone except outsiders. Boom. On a clear day, thunder struck, resonating within the heart of the retired soldier. Damn it. In his rush to incapacitate people and swiftly resolve the situation, he had not anticipated this turn of events. In that moment, the sole Peppa Pig felt alarmed. No need to fear. I am a Special Forces soldier. Watch me subdue. Swish, swish, swish. Countless red dots began to converge into a large crimson spot on the soldier's forehead. The viewers in the live stream were in stitches. Why are you all Ultraman? The soldier exclaimed, my mindset has exploded. Hanli retorted, can I handle a little rascal? My word. Li's meticulously crafted plan was thus stifled in its infancy by Hanli. Hanli, if you have the ability, face me one-on-one. The retired soldier protested. Now that it had come to this, there was no need for further discussion. Hanli one-on-one. Very well, criminal. Are you serious? A glimmer of hope ignited in the eyes of the retired Special Forces soldier. These individuals remained oblivious to their own identities as special operatives. The advantage lay with me. Perhaps I could seize the leader first. However, the next words from Hanli nearly shattered his composure. You alone against all of us. The retired soldier responded with disbelief. There are 12 of us, and you stand alone. This time, the advantage is mine. Hanli broke into a laugh, disregarding any sense of martial ethics. Nonsense. I am a ruthless bandit. Why should I adhere to any code of conduct? If you disagree, come at me. I have the numbers. Why should I heed your commands? Oh my, Han, you truly are an exemplary villain. The criminals grinned wickedly, encircling the innocent Special Forces soldier. Hanli murmured, do not fear. This will soon pass. The soldier realized that his fists were no match for a dozen firearms. The sound of gunfire erupted, startling the officers outside. No way. Hanli, in a fit of frustration, began executing hostages. Suddenly, Li received a message from his hidden pawn. Lizard, I have arrived. Li, what on earth? Where have you arrived? Then, an astonishing scene unfolded before Li and the officers. A man, marked with splatters of paintball residue, emerged with a look of distress. Though others may not recognize him, Li knew him all too well. This was one of his pawns. Officer Li, I have returned home. The Special Forces soldier uttered with great discomfort. Li, officer, you truly have come home. Delivered back. His eyes widened in disbelief. He could hardly accept that his meticulously crafted disguise had unraveled in less than 5 minutes. Was it all in vain? After grasping the entire situation, Li's expression darkened. This Hanli had anticipated it all. He must be a monster. Although formidable, he could not take the stolen money out. It would be futile. Li dispatched the officers in City C to seal all known exits near the bank, assuming that with Hanli stationed in the lobby, he would have no recourse. Meanwhile, a large truck stealthily approached a secluded grove. Inside, a man removing his mask was none other than Ling Han, the very individual pursued by the officers earlier. How could Ling Han be here? Where was this place? Wasn't he supposed to draw the police away? Just as the audience pondered this perplexity, a figure emerged before the truck, eliciting gasps of astonishment. It was Grandfather Chui, swaggering towards Ling Han. Finally arrived. Good, now the third phase can officially commence. With that, Grandfather Chui glanced behind him, where one criminal after another appeared, drawing the audience's attention to the bags they carried, revealing corners of banknotes. In the original third phase, Grandfather Chui was responsible for leading the criminals and transporting the cash, while Ling Han, having diverted the police, could reclaim the truck with a valid license to facilitate the transport of the money. Their destination is the dock previously visited by the police chief. Goodness. Transporting cash, while simultaneously unloading? The police officers ahead have drawn the ire of Hanli. In the shadows, others have already made several trips. This wave is unparalleled. Truly. It is as if Guan Yu wielded the green dragon crescent blade to carve out a new reality. The audience in the live stream erupted in excitement. The underground passage combined with Ling Han's little train is invincible. The police chief? Han Li, come on, let us escalate this situation. Black Cat Constable, in my eyes, there is only Han Li. The tension escalates. The real trump card was here all along. No wonder Ling Han turned back. It turns out he came here to unload. This maneuver is truly extraordinary. Just drag it out, and that's it. Unbelievable. It is the first time in history I've witnessed robbers simultaneously robbing a bank while unloading. The most remarkable part is that the police chief remains unaware of this underground passage. Unavoidably, everyone feels a pang of sympathy for the police chief. From the very beginning, they have been doomed to fail. Han Li himself is merely a decoy. The audience watches Han Li, casually reclining with his legs crossed, effortlessly collecting money. Moreover, the longer this drags on, the more money accumulates. The bank in City C is the economic lifeline of the entire city, illustrating the staggering sums involved. Damn, truly making money while lying down. How frustrating for them to be outsmarted. Little brother, exhausted yet exhilarated. Han Li, apologies, I just sit and collect money. At this moment, outside the bank, the oblivious police officers spot a criminal emerging with a hostage, looking desperate. They all assume Han Li has no intention of retreating, preparing for a fight to the end. Officer Li, everything is in place. Li glanced at the bank. This time, they brought nearly 100 personnel, more robust than any previous operation. Simply put, I have never engaged in such a wealthy battle. On the surface, they negotiate, attempting to stabilize the robbers' emotions. But it is merely a facade. Secretly, they prepare to strike with ferocity to capture Han Li. The negotiator speaks. Remain calm. You must stay composed. How can I remain calm? In the shadows, countless armed officers reload their magazines. Their gaze is sharp and filled with the hunger for action. Report. Only one robber guards the back door. Ouyang Rong nods. Gentlemen, this day has arrived. Li Yi observes the frantic criminal at the entrance and commands. The moment has come. In an instant, countless armed officers spring into action, launching a fierce assault. The front door is blasted open by the demolition team. Just then, the robber had not even raised his firearm before being swept away in a flurry of gunfire, rendered almost unrecognizable from the barrage. The eliminated robber lies on the ground, wide-eyed, bewildered by the unfolding chaos. How many of them are there? Chapter 102. All fear arises from insufficient firepower. Meanwhile, a flood of police forces surge into every entrance of the bank. As the gunfire erupts, chaos ensues within the bank. This is bad. The officers are launching an all-out assault. My goodness, there are so many people, Han. Goodness, I am terrified with over 10 guns trained on me. Even the criminals did not anticipate the deployment of so many police officers this time. It is indeed a complete strategy of overwhelming numbers. Upon hearing the police, the hostages glimpsed a flicker of hope, subtly hinting at a desire to resist. Han Li discerned this. If the hostages caused chaos, it would lead to significant complications for him. Thus, he pressed the remote control. Before hope could fully blossom, the female employee bound by explosives in the center suddenly let out a blood-curdling scream, for her countdown had abruptly reached 0. Immediately, a blinding light engulfed her, accompanied by a deafening explosion. What was that commotion? The hostages gasped. Moments later, when they turned their gaze, the lifeless form of the female employee lay on the ground. Unconscious, her pristine white attire stained with colorful fragments, utterly lifeless. Witnessing her agony and heart-rending cries, the hostages gasped in horror, truly frightened. In the next instant, the criminals strapped explosives onto all the hostages and commenced a countdown. In unison, the hostages cried out in despair. Everyone, if you do not heed my words, this is the fate that awaits you, Han Li said with a smile, hands clasped behind his back. His laughter resonated in the ears of the onlookers like a sinister echo from the depths of hell. This was not human. Any flicker of rebellion vanished entirely. In fact, they now dared not contradict Han Li's words. After instilling fear in the hostages, Han Li picked up a bag and addressed the criminals in the hall, commanding, "Keep a close watch on these hostages. I shall deal with the police officers behind us." What? You intend to confront over 100 police officers alone? Are you serious? Han. The criminals were taken aback. Meanwhile, the viewers in the live stream were bewildered. Am I hearing things? Or has Han had one too many drinks? Han, how many drinks have you had? A joke about single-handedly facing over 100 police officers? Goodness, is this how arrogant the competitors in S-City have become? Though I am a fan of Han, isn't this a bit far-fetched? One by one, the competitors expressed disbelief. How could this be possible? Even Superman would kneel before such odds. Han, my brothers will support you, they declared. Indeed, strength lies in numbers. To go alone would be akin to courting death. It was not that they looked down upon Han, but rather, they held great admiration for such a figure. Yet Han was ultimately human, not divine. How could he withstand so many police officers? In that moment, despair and fear were evident among the criminals. Over 100 police officers, how frightening. However, Han Li remained remarkably composed, lifting his bag and stating, as the ancient saying goes, all fear stems from insufficient firepower. As long as my firepower is formidable enough, even the King of Heaven must kneel before Han Li. The criminals finally comprehended the source of Han's confidence. He was indeed equipped with an arsenal. At this juncture, Ouyang Rong's team swiftly penetrated the depths of the bank, undeterred by any obstacle. Officer Lee, rest assured, our plan is proceeding successfully. Await my good news. Thus far, the situation unfolded. They had yet to encounter a single eliminated police chief. How fierce was the assault, you ask? To put it succinctly, the robbers were bewildered, uncertain of whom to fire upon. Before they could retaliate, they had already been riddled with bullets. I have never engaged in such a prosperous battle in my life, brothers. Charge, charge. Ouyang Rong revealed his excitement. Victory was within reach. Just as they were evacuating several screaming hostages, they failed to notice a few smoke grenades rolling to their feet. Smoke grenades. A flurry of dense smoke erupted, followed by the sight of grenades being hurled toward them. Take cover. The explosions claimed many of their ranks immediately, and Ouyang Rong retreated, contemplating. So this is their strategy to thwart us? A mere dream. We have plenty of men. No worries, let them throw their fill. Ouyang Rong remained remarkably composed. It was merely a fleeting spectacle. Indeed, the explosions ceased. All right, it's our turn. Just as he was about to lead his subordinates into the fray, another wave of grenades was thrown. What on earth? Retreat, retreat, retreat. They hastily fell back, sensing something was amiss. The grenades were raining down incessantly. Officer Ouyang, the enemy's firepower is overwhelming. What did you say? I can't hear you. The detonations were so overwhelming that they could barely hear one another. Thus, Officer Han Li, exposed, began to hurl grenades with wild abandon. As the police chiefs dodged, he took a moment to rest. Back and forth it went. Good grief. The viewers in the live stream were bewildered. Is this a turn-based game with me, General Han? All the fear stemmed from their inadequate firepower. Damn, is this a war film? Han Li had secretly prepared a massive supply over the past few nights. A whole bag full, enough to satiate. Boom. A thunderous blast erupted, injuring Ouyang Rong's arm and splattering him with colored powder. Damn it, is my arm broken? He stumbled back, filled with regret. With so many chiefs clustered together, there was no time to escape, resulting in significant losses among his subordinates. Who would have thought that their initial advantage would suddenly turn into a disadvantage? Han Li stood like an impenetrable wall, an insurmountable barrier. One man could hold back thousands. Was there a solution? Police chiefs? With an infinite supply of grenades. What do you think, Chief? What a farce. At that moment, both sides were entrenched in a protracted battle. Yet, the longer the conflict dragged on, the more favorable it became for Han Li. With no other option, Ouyang Rong reluctantly decided to lead the police chiefs in a temporary retreat. Each sacrificed chief represented a tremendous loss for the Sea City Police Department. Let us not forget, the show was not yet over. They still needed to apprehend other criminals. When Han Li returned calmly, the criminals regarded him as if he were a ghost. What's wrong? General Han, while we are filming a robbery scene, are you off making a superhero movie by yourself? The criminals all bowed in reverence. One man had repelled over 100 police chiefs. Such a feat was nothing short of celestial. As the police chiefs remained oblivious, Ling Han successfully arrived at the dock with the first batch of goods. He handed over the initial load of banknotes to the awaiting staff. Is this all there is? One staff member wondered, feeling somewhat puzzled. Has Han Li run out of ideas? In response, Ling Han looked at him as if he were an imbecile and replied, What are you thinking? This is merely the first batch. There will be a second, a third, and a fourth. Upon hearing this, the staff member was taken aback. Can you really rob a bank while simultaneously delivering goods? Isn't the bank surrounded by police officers? How are you managing to come and go so freely? Incredible. The unexpected revelation shattered the staff member's worldview. Goodness, are you really milking this situation to the bone? Exclaimed one director. I report this, Han Li is cheating. The production team grew anxious. Oh no, another financial hemorrhage? This Han Li is becoming increasingly audacious. Is this something a mere mortal can accomplish? Real criminals would kneel and weep, calling upon their ancestors. Suppressing fire? Li's face turned pale. There are over 100 of you. How many are on the other side? 1, came the reply. He has you suppressed? Yes. Li spat out a mouthful of blood, feeling utterly humiliated. There's nothing we can do. Han Li is cheating. What kind of robber would bring so many grenades? Forget it. Let us seal off all bank exits to ensure he cannot escape. Li was exhausted. Damn it. With over 100 police officers, you can't manage a single situation. No wonder the police ranking in every city has you Sea City at the bottom. That level of incompetence. Just go wash up and get some sleep. Report. All known exits of the bank have been blocked. Unless Han Li digs a tunnel on site, he cannot escape. In the live stream, the audience reacted. Consider the implications of that statement. Li sighed. This is perhaps a stroke of misfortune turned into a blessing. The bad news is that the Sea City police have been utterly dismantled by Han Li. The good news is that the robber's exits have been sealed, leaving him to struggle in vain. Thus began Plan B. Li stood at the bank's entrance, attempting to discern the situation inside. The next moment, his eyes narrowed, and his expression grew intense. His fists clenched as he shouted, Han Li, how dare you? Before him, at the bank's main entrance, several figures emerged. No, don't say I didn't give you a chance. Li observed the hostages, all of whom were strapped with timed explosives. Was Han Li truly intent on taking them all down with him? Just as the police chiefs felt a surge of tension, a man donned in a Peppa Pig mask stepped forward. It was Han Li, clad in a suit and exuding elegance. He had positioned himself in such a way as to thwart the snipers, keeping himself concealed. Damn it, how did he manage that? The snipers were left in disarray, unable to execute their shots. The police chiefs gazed at Han Li, who was trapped behind the hostage, momentarily at a loss as to how to proceed. Officer Li, would you care to analyze the situation? Officer Ouyang Rong turned to his companion, Li Yi. Li Yi replied, it seems Han Li can no longer remain passive. He likely did not anticipate our police force's aggressive strategy. Thus he is finally willing to negotiate. He fears that if this drags on, he may not be able to endure. Ouyang Rong narrowed his eyes, realizing that even this individual had moments of fear. Indeed. Han Li spoke up, I wish to discuss terms. Once the robber expressed a willingness to negotiate, the situation began to shift favorably for the police. However, in the next moment, Li Yi brandished a loudspeaker and declared, as you can see, all exits are blocked by our police force, and prolonging this standoff serves little purpose. Han Li, if you surrender, we can promise to retain 50% of your points. This was a formal attempt at persuasion. Han Li lowered his head, seemingly contemplating the offer, though even Li Yi himself doubted Han Li would agree to such terms. This individual was insatiable. The aim was merely to stall for time. All right, I believe we can have a conversation. To everyone's astonishment, Han Li actually acquiesced. The police chiefs were bewildered. Li was taken aback. The heavily armed Ouyang Rong was left speechless. What is happening? Are you serious? The police were engulfed in confusion. Why was there no response? Did they not initiate this dialogue? Han Li feigned the demeanor of someone genuinely willing to surrender, causing viewers in the live stream to erupt in excitement. Are you really going through with this? Incredible. This could lead to at least 10 minutes of discussion. Han Li remarked, now, don't say I didn't give you a chance. This was merely a tactic to buy time for Ling Han and the others. Very well. You first need to disarm the bomb on the hostage and allow them to leave, Ouyang Rong stated. Han Li tilted his head. Hold on, let me take a call. With that, he instructed the criminal to guard the hostage while he retrieved his phone, leaving the police chiefs increasingly perplexed. Is he a robber? His demeanor is reminiscent of my father. Why does it feel as though we owe him something? This is infuriating. Ouyang Rong's blood pressure surged. Sooner or later, he would be driven to madness by this situation. Yet, they presently had no means to confront him. Han Li sent a message to Ling Han in front of the police. How's the progress? We've already shipped 30 million. The viewers in the live stream were left in disbelief. Is this acceptable? Is this truly all right? What about the police's dignity? This is a blatant conspiracy. Truly, Han. Have you no sense of propriety? Ling Han, currently handling the third shipment, felt a twinge of concern. Han, is everything all right on your end? All is well. The police are watching me chat with you, Han Li replied. Now it was Ling Han's turn to be bewildered. Is this how it's done? He boasted to the other criminals. Look at what it means to be a fierce bandit. The crowd responded. Come on, this isn't even your fight. Why are you so excited? Faced with Han Li's provocative behavior, Li Yi yearned to storm in and unleash a barrage. But upon seeing the hostages kneeling at the door and the bomb at hand, he hesitated. The previous reprimand from Chief Jiang made it abundantly clear that in Huaxia, the safety of hostages takes precedence above all else. The duty of the police is to protect the citizens, rather than indiscriminately eliminate criminals. Let us engage in discussion. Li Yi seemed resigned to his fate. After all, the exits were sealed, and escape was impossible. He would simply bide his time. Damn it, Han Li. Could you show some consideration for the chief and negotiate properly? 50%? I have toiled endlessly, solving countless cases, only for you to claim it all? What do you propose? At least 70%. I cannot agree. A staff member interjected. The chief responded, what business is it of yours? Ouyang Rong and Han Li were embroiled in a fierce argument over the bonus, akin to two old women squabbling in a market, neither willing to concede. A slight misstep, and Han Li would press the remote control, resulting in the immediate demise of 10 hostages, leaving the chiefs in a state of utter disarray. No, 70% is my principle. Goodness, is this merely a farce? Are you truly prepared to stand your ground? What exactly do you want? Ouyang gasped for breath, his tongue nearly tripping over itself. Han Li waved his hand, feigning innocence. Sir, my brothers need to eat. With such a meager sum, it would be difficult for me to justify it to them. Allow me 10 minutes to negotiate with them. Han Li turned back once more. You won't seize the opportunity to attack, will you? The chief, quietly concealing weapons behind his back, replied, please proceed. Han Li chuckled. The onlookers were taken aback by his audacity. Ouyang Rong remarked, isn't this akin to inviting trouble? Think twice. It clearly appears to be a trap. It's a feigned retreat. There must be a trick. We cannot rule out the possibility of entering a veritable minefield of explosives. Han Li's nonchalance only heightened the vigilance of the chiefs, rendering them hesitant to act, and they consequently missed this opportunity. Han Li shook his head and addressed the camera. Now, don't say that Brother Han hasn't given them a chance. The viewers in the live stream were left in awe. Unbeknownst to the police, Han Li was the sole occupant within the bank. They had squandered their only chance. Shortly thereafter, the police outside heard a commotion emanating from within the bank. It was quite loud, seemingly Han Li grappling with his subordinates. Damn it, are you disobedient? Boss. I'm not satisfied. At your command, we'll charge forth. Ouyang Rong wondered if this indicated an internal conflict brewing. The cacophony was indeed alarming. Officer Li, why not take advantage of the situation and strike? Why do you always think of Han Li's downfall? Li Yi shook his head, dismissing the notion. Have you not noticed the 10 hostages kneeling at the bank's entrance? The moment we make a move, Han Li will eliminate them on the spot. Ouyang Rong was taken aback. At the entrance, the 10 hostages looked pitifully at them, their eyes pleading not to provoke Han Li. Indeed, with those 10 hostages, any miscalculation could lead to Han Li detonating the explosives. Thus, Han Li's maneuver was to wield the hostages as a weapon, placing them before the police chiefs, instilling fear within them. The gamble was on their unwillingness to take risks. Li Yi's heart brimmed with indignation. Had it been at an earlier time, he might have seized every opportunity to launch a frenzied assault. However, now his gaze encompassed not only Han Li but also a personal hostage, a living life, vibrant and pulsating. He would never allow the sacrifice of any hostage. Otherwise, he would be betraying Director Jiang. Observing the seemingly transformed expression of Li Yi, Ouyang Rong was momentarily taken aback. This fellow, at this moment, within the confines of the bank, the eliminated female employee's eyes widened in astonishment, as if she were beholding a madman. Han Li stood there, exclaiming, "Dare you question the boss's words?" Before leaping to the opposing side, his voice abruptly morphed into that of a coarse man. "Humph, I've been fed up with you for a long time. Care for a tussle?" Then his tone shifted again, adopting a timid voice. "Stop fighting, stop fighting. Let us take him down. Ah, Han Zong is so handsome." All these voices emanated from a single person. Han Li suddenly noticed the awakening female employee. She promptly understood and quietly closed her eyes. "You may continue, as if I were never awake." The audience in the live stream erupted in jubilation. "What a spectacle. Incredible. 1 man against 1,000. Han Li declared, "Don't ask. Just know that having multiple skills is never a disadvantage." Outside, the police officers were alarmed by the commotion. "No way, are they really fighting?" They thought the criminals were remarkably foolish. "Excellent. Infighting works to our advantage." Although Li Yi was unaware of the reason for the internal conflict, his instincts informed him that this was the opportune moment. "Officer Ouyang, now is the time to make your move." Ouyang Rong stealthily led his team through the back entrance. Meanwhile, in the underground passage, the criminals, each with a backpack filled with cash, shared laughter and conversation, completely devoid of the demeanor one would expect from desperate fugitives. Not far ahead, Ling Han's vehicle had been waiting for quite some time. "Where's Han Zong?" Chapter 104. "Hello? Are you there?" "I'm reporting he's cheating." The police outside overheard the continuous quarrel within the bank and assumed that Han Li and the robbers were still inside. Little did they know that the bank had long been devoid of any criminals. They had all fled. The audience in the live stream was exhilarated. "This is thrilling. If the police charge in suddenly, Han Zong would be in grave danger." On the other side, Ouyang Rong's team, having successfully breached the back door, pressed on undeterred. Encountering no resistance along the way, several team members felt a surge of joy. It seemed those robbers were indeed congregated in the lobby, providing the police with the perfect opportunity for a surprise attack. "We're almost to the lobby. Prepare yourselves." Ouyang Rong held a gun in one hand, unable to use the other. His team members displayed expressions of tense anticipation. "Yes, let us take them all down." Ouyang Rong gently pulled open the door leading to the lobby, revealing a narrow gap, then cautiously peered inside. He froze, rubbing his eyes in disbelief. For in his line of sight, there was no sign of any robbers. Suddenly, the atmosphere grew eerie. The sounds of quarrels reverberated throughout the lobby. Yet not a single robber was in sight. "Is it haunted?" Bang! Ouyang Rong forcefully kicked open the door, his gaze sweeping across the desolate hall. A shiver ran down his spine. On the floor lay a solitary female employee. What on earth was happening? Not a single robber in sight. Ouyang Rong disregarded everything else and rushed to assist the woman, only to discover the explosive device strapped to her body. This was dire. The bomb activated, sending his heart racing. His face paled instantly as he shouted to his comrades behind him, "Run!" The bomb detonated with a deafening boom. Outside, Li Yi heard the explosion and sensed something was amiss. The confrontation had begun. "Quick, support Officer Ouyang." "Yes." The armed sergeant stationed outside led the charge through the main entrance. Upon entering the bank, each officer stood frozen in place, bewildered. Li Yi ordered the evacuation of the hostages and drew his weapon to follow. "What are you all standing around for?" The officers, faces drawn, replied, "Officer Li, there are no enemies here. Who are we supposed to fight?" "What?" Li Yi's eyes widened as he assessed the hall, realizing that apart from the eliminated Ouyang Rong and others, there was no one else present. Where was Han Li? Where were the robbers? Hadn't they been arguing? Where had they gone? "Officer Li, take a look at this." One of the armed sergeants spoke up, holding a mobile phone that was playing a pre-recorded message. Beside it was a speaker, the sound reaching every officer's ears. "Boss, I refuse to comply. Think again. At worst, let us just do it." It dawned on Li Yi that the voice they heard emanated from this device. He pressed his forehead in disbelief, recalling Han Li's previous words, finally realizing that, perhaps, he had been the only one left in the bank. Han Li had covered for the others to escape. Damn it. But wait, the exits were sealed tight. How could they have escaped? Ouyang Rong stood up, eliminated but unwilling to accept his fate. Logically, the bank was sealed off, so where had the robbers gone? Li Yi's expression darkened. This indicated they were privy to secrets unknown to them. Damn it. The cash in the vault is essentially gone. The sergeant exclaimed, WTF. That's nearly 80 million in cash. Even with a truck, it would take several trips. How could Han Li's small group possibly take it all at once? Unless they made multiple trips, Li Yi concluded. The others were momentarily stunned. In other words, while they were in a standoff, Han Li had already begun transporting the cash. Blood pressure rising, but where had they taken it? There must be a hidden passage. Li Yi was resolute and immediately dispatched personnel to search the entire bank. Ouyang Rong, feeling frantic, thought to himself, does Han Li possess magical powers? How could he have escaped? A sense of despair engulfed all the officers. Surprise? What kind of surprise was this? The sergeants must have felt utterly hopeless. Come on, big brothers. Soon, they discovered a suspicious area near the vault. The armed officer kicked aside the barrier. To everyone's astonishment, it revealed an underground passage. Is there really such a place? An underground tunnel? How unbelievable. Li Yi and Ouyang Rong were both taken aback. Within the vast Sea City Bank, there existed such an undisclosed tunnel. It seemed likely that it had been constructed by the government previously, but subsequently abandoned. Why was this not reported to us? The bank manager, who was brought in for questioning, trembled as he replied, I just found out as well. This underground passage has hardly been used, and over time, the bank ceased to pay it any attention. At this juncture, there was no doubt that Han Li and the group of robbers must have escaped through this tunnel. Quickly, dispatch a team to pursue. Yes. Li Yi turned to the bank manager beside him and inquired, do you know where this passage leads? I believe it connects to a forest. Go, send several police cars to block it off. Li Yi's expression was one of fervor. Only 5 minutes had passed. From here to the outside, it would certainly take longer than that. The robbers could not have escaped entirely. Yes. The officers promptly entered the underground passage to commence their pursuit. In the pitch-black tunnel, each officer activated their lights, only to discover the labyrinthine pathways, rendering navigation nearly impossible. Which route do we take? There are several forks ahead. Li Yi descended, feeling a headache coming on. Dispersing the police force to pursue at this point would only complicate matters further. No, Han Li and the others must have left some markers for memory. Indeed. His keen eyes spotted a green arrow beside one of the passages. A marker. This way. Li Yi led the officers, racing against time. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have escaped. Reward skill. Fade into darkness. Fade into darkness. Slip into shadows, undetected by anyone. After such a long wait, he finally acquired a new skill. Han Li, carrying a bag filled with money, glanced back. He faintly heard the distant sound of approaching footsteps. Have they arrived? It seemed the pursuers had noticed the markers he left behind. In the haste of his escape, he could not erase them in time. Beep beep at that moment. Ling Han called him, President Han, we only need you. Hurry. You all go ahead. The officers are closing in on me. Let us meet outside. All right. Ling Han had always trusted President Han's capabilities. After hanging up, Han Li took only a few steps before realizing the footsteps behind him were growing louder. Quickly. They're just ahead. Everyone hurry. Don't let him escape. Chapter 105. Han Li's presence stirred the entire Yingzhou. Hearing the footsteps drawing closer, Han Li vaguely saw several clusters of bright lights approaching. They were right ahead. Hurry. Nonetheless, Han Li remained calm and did not move. Witnessing this scene, the audience in the live stream erupted. What does this mean? President Han, run. Oh no, they're catching up. Is he trying to get himself killed? Han. Something's off. Every day seems to inch closer to danger, as if death were imminent. Yet, I, Han Li, stand resolute. While the audience is perplexed by my enigmatic maneuvers, I merely smile softly to myself. I switch off my phone's brightness and leisurely step into a nearby shadow. At this moment, I, Han Li, have vanished into darkness. Meanwhile, a spectator from Yingzhou scoffs. Is that it? Just standing in the shadows? Do you think you're one of our Yingzhou ninjas? Awaiting a slap in the face. Footsteps echo urgently. They are coming. They are coming. The officers, frantic and hurried, follow the faint light, closing in on me. 3 meters, 1 meter, so close. Got him. The Yingzhou netizen prepares to celebrate. However, an astonishing scene unfolds. Numerous officers, flashlights in hand, rush past without casting a glance to the side. Where did he go? One officer scratches his head, bewildered that I have vanished. Little do they know. In the darkness, a pair of calm eyes observes them, nearly face to face. Oblivious, the officer scans the area, yet fails to spot me. He must have run away. Let us chase him. And so, I watch as they sprint past, completely unaware of my presence. I have successfully evaded capture. The viewers in the live broadcast stand in disbelief. Am I blind, or are they blind? Han Li, I have disappeared into darkness. Wait, just standing there makes you invisible? To all, I assure you, I have mastered the art of invisibility. Upstairs, I believe you. No magic for muggles. The absurdity is overwhelming. It appears as if I am cloaked in darkness, rendering me invisible. Is this not the essence of invisibility? The Yingzhou netizen exclaims, what the heck? My mindset is exploding. Could it be he truly possesses ninja skills? In haste, The Yingzhou netizen screenshots the moment and shares the video with compatriots far away in Yingzhou. Soon, the internet buzzes with excitement from Yingzhou netizens. How did he do that? There's an old saying in Huaxia, returning to simplicity, and this is it. When it comes to ninjutsu, I concede. Perplexed, they ponder, are Huaxia competitors truly this extraordinary? Countless ninja dojos, overnight, see their apprentices donning Peppa Pig masks. Han Li has become their new idol, leaving the dojo masters in cold sweat. Baka, are you planning a rebellion? As Ling Han exits the underground passage, he drives away with the competitors. Despite leaving Han Li alone being perilous, the leader has spoken. The juniors dare not protest. Let us go, before the officers encircle us. We'll make our exit. Thus, they merge into the flow of traffic, stealthily concealing themselves. After all, money is everything. This vote is bound to create a sensation throughout City C. Indeed, it seems the bank will be depleted. The production team is likely cursing at this very moment. Inside the vehicle, the criminals are chanting praises for General Han. Once he returns, they will be able to share the rewards. Just as the conversation was unfolding, several police cars approached. The criminals were taken aback. Could it be? Just as they were boasting, they were about to be apprehended. Tension filled the air. Thankfully, the police cars passed them by, seemingly heading toward a small grove behind. Damn, General Han is in danger. Could they be attempting to intercept him? Turning back, I must assist General Han. Old Master Chui exclaimed. Damn, I haven't said anything, yet you all appear so agitated. If someone didn't know better, they might think we were part of the underworld. We cannot return. Doing so would only complicate matters for General Han. He alone may not face restrictions. Ling Han had no intention of turning back. Gritting his teeth, he pressed the accelerator, leaving this perilous place behind. Let us not forget, we have yet to fully evade capture. General Han is holding back to buy us time for escape. Upon hearing this, the group began to see the reason in his words. At present, General Han is diverting the attention of the officers. Indeed, Han Li had contemplated this. To ensure absolute safety, he chose to expose himself, deliberately drawing the officers' focus onto him. In truth, when it comes to being bait, I am far inferior to Ling Han. Had it been Ling Han as the decoy, there would have been no need for such extensive efforts. One person, one car, would suffice. Having evaded a group of pursuing officers, he took a detour and reached the small grove. As soon as he emerged, his expression fell. Several police cars were barreling towards him. Hey look, don't move. A few officers spotted Han Li as he crawled out and raised their guns, commanding him to halt. Officer Li remarked, you were right. Han Li has escaped from within, and we are currently in a standoff. Han Li swiftly deployed a smoke bomb, distracting the officers. With a quick movement, he fled the grove. Damn it. He is getting away. Hurry, let us pursue and stop reporting. The officers hurriedly jumped into their vehicles, sounding their sirens to alert others before beginning the chase after Han Li. As the saying goes, two legs can never compete with four wheels. Han Li never entertained the notion that he could outrun police cars on foot. Not far away, a driverless luxury car awaited, having been prepared for some time. Han Li had long been ready. He produced the key Ling Han had given him and opened the car door. Climbing inside, he started the engine. The moment had arrived. It is no exaggeration to say that this luxury vehicle has quite literally saved General Han's life. Otherwise, it wouldn't be long before he was caught by the officers. Upon closer inspection, this was indeed the luxury car that Ling Han had previously stolen from the dealership. The officers were left bewildered. What on earth? How could a luxury car be here? The audience in the live streaming room erupted in excitement. I remarked, why hasn't Ling Han made a move? Ah, so this was the plan. My fellow brothers, do you think that Director Han anticipated this all along? The thought is chilling. Everything has been meticulously orchestrated by him. Do not inquire further. It is merely a facet of the grand design. Naturally, I am Han, and this maneuver is celestial in its execution. Han Li, you predict? That's all right. I shall predict your predictions. Officer. With a tremendous roar, the officers emerging from the underground passage were momentarily stunned. They witnessed a luxury vehicle speeding by. Inside, Han Li, adorned with a Peppa Pig accessory, waved his hand and sped off, leaving a trail of exhaust that made them cough incessantly. It was the luxury car seized by Mickey. Li cursed inwardly. It was so close yet vanished in an instant. He was on the brink of despair. For the second time, Han Li drove away right before his eyes. Chapter 106. The strongest team in City C, Black Hawk. The police cars from Su-Du pursued Han Li, but to their disbelief, they simply could not catch up. Not even a glimpse of his rear end. What a driving god. In this sprawling metropolis, Han Li casually abandoned the luxury vehicle and seamlessly blended into the crowd, disappearing without a trace. Sir, one Bowsy please. Certainly, young man. Han Li entered a Bowsy shop, casually ordered a Bowsy, and attentively gazed at the large screen overhead. He was not alone. Others silently lifted their heads. In today's programming, anything could be absent, but not crime role-playing. It was exhilarating. Han Li was exceedingly cunning. It was uncertain if he could be apprehended this time. Absolutely. Our city's officers are numerous. I just saw several police cars in pursuit. How could he possibly escape? Right? An elderly gentleman glanced at Han Li, who was dipping his Bowsy in vinegar. Han Li chuckled innocently. Isn't that so? The officers are invincible. Invincible. The audience cheered, determined that Han Li would not evade capture this time. Look, the footage has resumed. Everyone focused intently, awaiting the moment of Han Li's capture. When they saw the officers surrounding the luxury vehicle, they were filled with festive excitement. After all, this was a notorious criminal who had evaded capture until now. At that moment, on the screen, Li Yi and his team approached slowly, guns drawn, taking one step, then another. Everyone held their breath, fixated on the scene. Slurp. The crowd murmured. Han Li, apologies, please continue. The officers are invincible. Humph. As the crowd turned their gaze back, they realized, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to witness a miracle. Old Han, let us see how you escape this. Wasn't he at all but certain he was doomed? Just a step away. Quick. Let them see Han Li's panic. Li Yi approached the car door, gripping the handle tightly, and pulled it open. However, inside, there was not a single soul. Boom. All within the shop were left agape, as if they were on the verge of destroying the opponent's crystal in a game, only to find their teammates had perished. What the hell? It exploded. It is simply inconceivable. How could he have accomplished that? This Han Li must be a ghost. How infuriating. The old man wiped away tears, reminiscing about his prior life as a retired police officer, fervently wishing that his juniors could apprehend Han Li. Little did he expect that they would fail to do so. Can you imagine the frustration? Who, pray tell, can truly capture Han Li? Before departing, Han Li left behind a $100 bill and glanced back at the old man, stating, in this world, the only one capable of capturing Han Li is likely to be himself. The old man. The crowd. What an audacious proclamation. It sounds as if you were Han Li himself. Where does this audacity stem from? The audience in the live stream erupted with disbelief. Goodness. He really has some nerve. Driver, to the dock, Han Li commanded, having savored some steamed buns before leisurely heading to the harbor. There. The criminals and Ling Han awaited him, a breath of relief escaping his lips. The staff, witnessing Han Li's unfazed demeanor as he exited the vehicle, turned pale with alarm. Is this truly acceptable? The police have suffered greatly in their pursuit of you. After calculating Han Li's points, his ranking was revealed. He remained in second place. The first, Q, was as solid as a rock, unassailable. What caliber of player is this Q to dare eclipse me, Han? Ling Han rolled up his sleeves, ready to stand up for his friend. In due course, it became apparent that Q had gone abroad to compete. Unbelievable. Venturing beyond the domestic servers to challenge the world? How could he even do that? Ling Han was perplexed, as the rules clearly stipulated that participation was limited to within Huaxia. The staff smirked, can't figure it out. Can you? Han Li responded coolly, it's quite simple. He exchanged his points. On the leaderboard, the first place Q bore a peculiar mark that others lacked. The staff looked at the composed youth with trepidation. How frightening. How could he deduce that? Fear not, Mr. Han. Just because he has gone abroad does not mean he surpasses you in skill. Indeed, they had amassed a staggering 80 million. How impressive. Yet Han Li remained indifferent. This only proved that points could be exchanged not only for rewards, but also for advantages unattainable by ordinary competitors. It appears that accumulating points is essential. The group began to divide their spoils in front of the staff. Are you even serious? Exclaimed one of the workers, tears streaming down their face. Han Li, Ling Han, and the elderly Chui discreetly returned to a certain apartment in City C, while the other criminal contestants were dismissed. Han Li contemplated acquiring a factory to serve as a refuge for his subordinates, establishing a stronghold for their gang. As the trio settled on the sofa, pondering what to do with their winnings, an epiphany struck Han Li. Have we forgotten someone? He hurriedly rushed to the solitary confinement room where Joseph was held. Upon opening the door to the dimly lit chamber, they were met with a sight that sent chills down their spines, a writhing maggot, foaming at the mouth, as if it had fainted from hunger. Joseph had never anticipated that a simple egg fried rice could be so delectable. He nearly met his demise. Han Li, what do you truly desire? Finding me here without care. If you possess the ability, why not release me? Very well, I shall set you free. Han Li replied with a chuckle, his tone lighthearted. Joseph exclaimed in disbelief. You actually mean it? You want to leave? Han Li inquired. The audience in the live stream erupted with excitement. What is happening? This is utterly unpredictable. Joseph secretly chuckled to himself. Foolish. You genuinely let me go? Just wait. Once I return, I will gather people to deal with you all at once, burying you three beneath the earth, dancing upon your graves. No need to see me off. As he turned, after taking only a few steps, his legs suddenly weakened. He thought it was due to being bound for too long. His body stiffened, and he paid it no mind. Just as he was about to descend the stairs, his legs buckled beneath him, and he collapsed to his knees. Han Li and the others were taken aback. Oh my, how polite. What is this? Are you not leaving? Han Li approached him, tilting his head in feigned confusion. Do you feel utterly drained, with a pain in your lower back? Joseph looked at him in terror. How do you know this? Ah, if you raise your arm, you will see a dark bruise. Is that true? Joseph lifted his hand, and indeed saw the purplish-black bruise. Poisoned? No, wait. I distinctly remember. There was poison in the egg fried rice. Just as he was about to curse, a sharp pain pierced his chest. At the Sea City Police headquarters, Li Yi pinched the bridge of his nose, realizing he had failed once again. Officer Li, good news. Ouyang Rong, who had been eliminated, approached. What news? The boss of Sea City has returned from out of town. The boss? I've heard that Sea City's police station has a special team, Li Yi recalled. As Director Jiang had mentioned, it was quite formidable. Just as he finished speaking, the door burst open. Li Yi turned to see a fully armed team. Their faces concealed by black masks. The members were diverse, and the man at the forefront, with a square jaw, smiled gently. I've heard Sea City is in quite a disarray lately. All the officers were overwhelmed with excitement, rising to salute. Sea City's strongest team, the Black Hawk. Chapter 107. Establishing a factory, producing AKs, Han Li, aim to grow and strengthen. Among the team, striding forward was their leader, Li Gang, exuding an air of composure. Two tall, slender men, presumably twins, exchanged sharp glances, their eyes sparkling, as they muttered under their breath. A hoodie-clad hacker girl, revealing her fair legs, stands alongside a spirited young man with clenched fists. Trailing behind them is a cunning old police chief, wearing a sly grin. Each of them dons identical black masks, reminiscent of fangs, exuding a chilling aura. They cannot possibly be police officers, can they? Aside from Captain Li and the seasoned veteran, none hail from a policing background. However, they are all prodigies in their respective fields, each an elite. This special task force has begun to gain traction in various regions, and thus far, the results have been remarkably promising. This very team has solved numerous cases. Why were they not deployed earlier? Li Yi glared fiercely at Ouyang Rong, questioning why such a formidable team wasn't brought forth sooner. Are you toying with me? Ouyang Rong hastily explained that they had been dispatched to another city, collaborating with local police to apprehend Q, only returning yesterday. Q? Li Yi recalled that this individual was a significant figure ahead of Han Li, the top contender. It is astonishing that elite teams from various cities are mobilized for the pursuit. How formidable must Q be? Yet, despite this effort, they have not captured him. Li Gang approached them, shaking his head with a sigh. Li Yi was taken aback. Just who is Q? Let's put that aside for now. I am Li Gang, the captain of the Black Owl team. These twins are Wang Yi and Wang Air, and this is Ran. Li Gang introduced each member to Li Yi. Hello, I am Li Yi from City S. I wonder how Wang Zhiguo has been lately? Li Gang graduated from the same police academy as him, though they ventured into different cities for their careers. Li Yi remarked, I imagine he must be quite pleased at this moment. Without Han Li in City S, how could he not be content? It was exhausting for him. Li Yi had become somewhat familiar with this team. Why do you wear the Black Cat police chief mask? Wang Yi inquired with curiosity. Is the rumor online about your affair with Peppa true? Wang Air interjected. Get lost, Li Yi retorted coldly. All right, it's time to focus on our mission. We have returned at the behest of the Jiang Bureau to assist you in capturing Han Li, Li Gang said, turning to reveal a smiling countenance. Behind them, a timid man in prison garb hung his head, too fearful to speak. Who is he? A bank robber. We have uncovered something intriguing on him. With that, Li Gang produced a mysterious phone. This phone can locate Han Li? I cannot, but she can. The group turned to the hoodie-wearing girl, who was engrossed in a game, and Ran set down her gaming device, muttering, this boss is so dull. Who's next? A sudden sneeze interrupted Han Li as he rubbed his nose, wondering who might be thinking of him. Meanwhile, in a dimly lit room, Han Li and Ling Han observed Joseph, seemingly awaiting his response. Joseph, resolute yet conflicted, pinched the bridge of his nose. This fellow Han Li wants me to betray the organization? No way. I, Joseph, am steadfast. The antidote, only I possess it. If you wish to avoid spending the rest of your life incapacitated, then, Han Li spoke in a calm, yet chilling tone. My friend, why not join us in our endeavors? With your fortune and my prowess, we shall grow prosperous, far surpassing your so-called angelic aspirations. I, Han, am a man destined for greatness. Ling Han embellished the narrative. Old Master Chui dismissed it nonchalantly, stating, it matters not. I shall take action. Joseph's eyelids fluttered. Have you truly considered your decision? Three of you, attempting to shake the foundations of the vast angel. It's akin to moths drawn to a flame. Humph. I merely send you to your demise. I shall not betray the organization for the antidote. So be it. I shall grant you the opportunity to seek death. I concede. Speak. What is it you require of me? Joseph finally capitulated. Han Li revealed a smile laden with intrigue. I need you to return to the organization and facilitate connections for me. Upon hearing the plan, Joseph was beset with anxiety, beads of sweat forming on his brow. His mouth parched, and his heart racing. Damn it, this plan is ruthless. Han Li, this won't do. I require more compensation. Joseph exclaimed. Han Li responded, young man, I advise you to tread carefully. Old Master Chui clenched his fists, the sound echoing ominously. I have always sought to win people over with virtue, he lamented, releasing the pressure of his grip, reflecting on his own compassion. Joseph, bruised and battered, leaped up in anger. However, given the circumstances, he felt powerless. Remember, if you execute this properly, I will provide you with the antidote. Otherwise, prepare for your demise, Han Li warned, his demeanor devoid of earlier jest, now imbued with gravity. Joseph was taken aback, glancing at the markings on his arm, which appeared to have intensified, instilling fear within him. He hurriedly took the latest version of the exhilarating substance Han Li provided and departed to return to his lair. Han, are you truly allowing him to leave? Rest assured, I have equipped him with a tracking device. Han Li would never place blind trust in Joseph. By the way, I intend to purchase a factory. A factory? Questioned the audience in the live stream, bewildered. Ling Han, flustered, thought, you're not considering venturing into the realm of commercial giants, are you? Nothing of the sort. Han Li glanced at the prompts visible only to him. Congratulations, host has triggered side quest, the arrival of angels, to replace malevolent forces and establish your own organization. Reward skill, craftsman. Craftsman, you can create special equipment. Scanning the current list of items available for crafting, the limited, it was impressive. Bring forth the AKs and rocket launchers. To fabricate these items, a large processing plant was essential, perfectly suited for accommodating those criminal contenders. A dual advantage. Do not concern yourself. Just investigate for me, Han Li commanded before retreating to his chamber. Ling Han reluctantly acquiesced, spending the night scouring for factories on the market. Old Master Cui contacted his old comrades, revealing a satisfied smile. Since aligning with Han Li, his wealth had burgeoned. The conditions for his comrades had improved significantly. They had even replaced their beds with velvet. One day, I shall exact my revenge. He produced a photograph, featuring himself alongside a young man, whose image bore a prominent red cross. The old man gazed upon the youth. In his eyes, a surge of lethal intent suddenly arose. Han Li, however, was fast asleep, unaware that his phone beside him had suddenly lit up, poised to deliver a notification, only to plunge into darkness moments later, revealing a single line of text. Under siege. Days passed, and Han Li maintained a remarkably low profile, refraining from causing any disturbances, which left the police officers quite exasperated. Damn it. How do we catch a turtle hiding in its shell? You need to come out. As everyone sat lamenting their plight, a girl in the corner, munching on chips and sipping cola, abruptly straightened up, gazing at the small red dot displayed on her phone screen. She revealed a grin reminiscent of a hunter fixating on its prey. Boss has taken the bait. Chapter 108. Masterful driving. Mr. Han Li was driving with Ling Han, en route to inspect a factory as per an agreement with an online merchant. Suddenly, he noticed through the rearview mirror that 2 police cars were tailing them. We are being followed. What? Ling Han gasped, turning to glance back and confirming the presence of the 2 police vehicles. At that moment, a police car ahead made a U-turn and barreled towards them. In an instant, they found themselves encircled by a formidable blockade of police cars. In the command vehicle trailing behind, and ran, while savoring a lollipop, peered at the positioning on her screen. A smile crept across her lips, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Let the struggle begin, boss. She evidently viewed Han Li as a game boss to be systematically conquered. Beside her, Li Yi raised an eyebrow in surprise, never expecting her to track Han Li's location through that mobile device. Could she be a top-tier hacker? A second glance revealed that she was simulating numerous strategies to encircle Han Li, plotting his potential escape routes in red dashed lines, leaving him utterly astonished. How did she manage this? And Ran had indeed clinched victory in an international hacking competition, Li Gang explained. No wonder. Wang Yi and Wang Air commenced the encirclement. Li Gang commanded. The 2, driving in perfect synchrony, swiftly tightened the noose around Han Li. Viewers in the live stream were on edge. This is bad. The situation is dire. It said that the police chief dispatched the strongest team. Mr. Han, you are in peril. Damn it, how do we escape? Inside the car, Ling Han observed the police cars closing in from both the front and rear, as well as those rushing in from the sides. Taking a deep breath, he felt a surge of fear. Buckle your seatbelt. Why? Because I'm about to take off. Han Li gripped the gear shift, his gaze sharp. Speaking in a calm, yet resolute tone, it's time for a long-awaited thrill. Ling Han hastily fastened his seatbelt, his heart racing with trepidation. Wait, in that instant, the roar of the car's engine erupted with an unprecedented ferocity, reverberating throughout the surroundings. Wang Yi raised an eyebrow. Is this a provocation? Damn, let us take him down. Several police cars converged on Han Li, rapidly closing in. Yet, Han Li remained unfazed, refusing to make the first move. Damn it. We've been encircled. How did these officers locate Mr. Han? This is dangerous. Li Gang seized the walkie-talkie, exclaiming, too arrogant, apprehend him. Yes. Ling Han's heart raced to his throat, urgently shouting, Mr. Han, if we don't leave now, it will be too late. Just as the police cars approached, Han Li suddenly smiled, then slammed the accelerator. In an instant, he unleashed the full force of speed. The car shot forward like a finely tuned arrow, targeting a gap exposed by a police vehicle. Before the officer could comprehend the situation, a flash of crimson light darted past, as swift as a shadow. Several police cars were left bewildered. What had just passed? A thunderous roar echoed, captivating countless spectators and the officer alike as Han Li, in a daring maneuver, tore open a path amidst the encirclement. He sped away, remarkable. My Mr. Han, this maneuver is truly that of a driving deity. It's astonishingly fast, even I, a race car driver, feel dwarfed by his prowess. Absolutely stunning. Han Li temporarily escaped the surrounding trap, yet to his astonishment, 2 police vehicles quickly followed his trail. Impressive. Indeed. Little did he know that the drivers, Wang Yi and Wang Air, were even more astounded. They were seasoned race car drivers, unmatched in skill among criminals. Typically, Their escapes were seamless. However, this time, Han Li's fortuitous maneuver, a precise threading through the needle, left them dumbfounded. Brother, was that threading through the needle? Indeed. What on earth? Is he even human? In the command vehicle behind, Li Gang's expression shifted slightly. He had underestimated Han Li. How could he escape under such circumstances? Nevertheless, I have instructed nearby officers to set up roadblocks. He won't escape this time. Meanwhile, the cunning veteran smirked. No matter how skilled he is, when he encounters roadblocks, he will meet his end. Indeed, just after his escape, Han Li discovered several police cars stationed within a tunnel ahead, establishing roadblocks and awaiting his arrival. The police vehicles were positioned to completely seal off the road. Any rational person would instinctively slow down. This was merely a show. Life was paramount. A roadblock? This is bad. Ling Han's heart sank. Just as everyone expected Han Li to decelerate, another roar erupted. Han Li accelerated, undaunted. The officer exclaimed, "What the hell? Why isn't he slowing down? Is he insane? Damn it, he's a lunatic. Fire at will." The officers drew their weapons and fired several rounds. Han Li skillfully maneuvered the steering wheel, evading the incoming projectiles with astounding precision, leaving no trace behind. The ground bore witness to his swift escape. Wang Yi and Wang Er, watching from behind, felt their hearts race. Is he invincible? Viewers in the live stream gasped. Is he about to collide? No way, mister. Han has lost his mind. His driving skills are unbelievable. What just rushed past me? The officers watched in horror as Han Li maintained his speed, growing even faster. Damn it, is he risking his life? It's just a show. Han Li declared, the word surrender does not exist in my vocabulary. He surged forward once more. Mr. Han, I have yet to purchase insurance. What are you planning to do? Ling Han grasped his hand, leaning back while trembling as he spoke. Han Li turned the steering wheel and pressed down with his foot. Car God activated. The vehicle did not collide but instead veered, ascending diagonally, with relentless momentum. It surged against the wall adjacent to the tunnel. Utilizing the immense force, the car maneuvered past the police vehicle below, briefly traversing along the wall. Then, with a resounding thud, it crashed heavily onto the road, effortlessly bypassing the barricades set by the police behind. It appeared as though it were walking along the wall, driving against the wall. The legendary technique. Wang Yi and Wang Er had to halt their car, staring in terror at the vehicle speeding away before them, unable to calm themselves for an extended period. Could it truly be possible for someone to achieve this? The police officers stood with mouths agape, frozen in disbelief, as if they could hardly trust their own eyes. Had the car just taken flight? And was it actually driving against the wall? Incredible. If they had not witnessed it with their own eyes, who would have believed such a thing could occur? Yet Han Li had accomplished it. After a peculiar 2 seconds of silence in the live stream, the audience erupted. Someone, kill me to support Mr. Han. Oh, driving against the wall is utterly insane. Han Li, if I don't show my skills, do you truly believe I am incapable? Police officer, what the hell? This is invincible. Newton-esque coffin can hardly contain this. Upon arrival of the command vehicle, Li Gang, with a look of astonishment, inquired of Wang Yi and Wang Er, who, after their exchange, appeared even more shocked. Even you two couldn't catch up? Wang Yi and Wang Er found it difficult to speak, their faces flushed. As accomplished race car drivers, they could not even keep pace with Han. For the first time, they experienced defeat. It seems that Han Li is indeed formidable. Li Gang stroked his chin, realizing that a person capable of inciting chaos in City C was not one they could apprehend so easily. Chapter 109. Unyielding Joseph. Seeing that the police vehicles had vanished behind them, Ling Han finally breathed a sigh of relief. He had feared he would meet his end today. How did these officers manage to track us down? In the past, they could roam this city freely, relying on the officers' inability to ascertain their locations. But now, they were being followed? It felt as though a beast lurking just out of sight was trailing them, an unbearable sensation. It seemed the opposition had deployed a top-tier hacker. Han Li picked up his phone, noticing traces of an attack. He had been completely unaware. Remarkably, the adversary had managed to breach his intricate defenses in a remarkably short time, pinpointing his location directly. This time, it was a match of equals. Han Li temporarily erased his location and pocketed his phone. Subsequently, they arrived at the factory, and after confirming its authenticity under the owner's guidance, they hastily purchased it. They concluded their business in a flurry and returned home. In the coming days, he planned to lay low. At a certain upscale club, the air was thick with a hallucinogenic scent. Women posed alluringly, attending to each guest that entered. Joseph's expression was grave as he stepped into the establishment, deliberately avoiding the throng of patrons. Instead, he made his way to a secluded elevator, pressing the button for the lower level. With a soft chime, the elevator descended, and Joseph exhaled, mentally rehearsing his forthcoming words. Ding! As the elevator doors opened, a new scene unfolded before Joseph's eyes, a bustling casino. Waitstaff produced bags of white powder, pouring them onto the tables, while numerous pale-faced, yet frenzied-eyed patrons eagerly leaned in to inhale the substance. These were addicts, nearly stripped of their humanity, with some even resorting to borrowing money to partake. Boss! A throng of men in white suits flanked Joseph, standing at attention, their respect palpable. Such was the authority of a leader. Get to work. Yes. Joseph proceeded to a particular room, knocking on the door. Come in. Upon entering, He was taken aback. A member of the Angels was mercilessly pounding a man's kidneys, leaving him bruised and gasping in agony. The man writhed, barely able to keep his eyes open, trembling uncontrollably. Seated nearby was a middle-aged man, smoking a cigar, who observed the gruesome scene with keen interest. In a low voice, he remarked, "You arrived just in time. Care to take a look? Who is he?" Joseph inquired, eyeing the horrific wounds. The middle-aged man grimaced and spat, an undercover sent by the cops. Damn, he must be tired of living. I despise two-faced scum like him. Beat him to a pulp. Listening to the relentless strikes against the undercover agent, Joseph wiped the sweat from his brow. Indeed, in this line of work, betrayal was a cardinal sin. Exactly, they ought to learn from your steadfastness. The unwavering facade of the Angels, never yielding. That's you, Joseph. The higher-ups have their eyes on you. And the mission? The man asked. This pertained to the matter of Han Li's new contraband. I was just about to mention that. I've secured the items. You can relay them to the higher-ups. Saying this, he produced a small package and handed it to the official. The man scrutinized it, bemused. This little thing is worth the risk of exposure to the top brass. He opened it and inhaled deeply. I don't see anything remarkable here. Just this? Damn it. Our contraband is selective, you know. It better not be rubbish. What are you doing? Joseph pointed at the man. The man paused, suddenly realizing that he had unconsciously taken a hit. What the hell? I didn't even notice. It dawned on him that his body had acted of its own accord. Years of exposure had dulled his interest in contraband, yet this substance stirred a ravenous desire within him. His entire being was agitated, an instinctual response he could not suppress. It was akin to hunger. When one is hungry, one must eat. How terrifying. The excitement was overwhelming. Who had crafted such an extraordinary device? The man quickly cast aside his previous exhilaration, a wave of apprehension washing over him. If categorized as contraband, this could be akin to nuclear weaponry. Yet, upon further reflection, exhilaration surged within him once more. If this could be supplied for our organization as trafficking, the profits would be astronomical, beyond my imagination. I must report this to the higher-ups immediately. Joseph, you've done splendidly. I always knew you had it in you. Joseph replied, for the organization. It is the least I could do. Once he stepped outside, he retrieved his phone and sent a message to an anonymous account. They have obtained the item. Predictably, it wasn't long before the upper echelons of Angel received the exhilarating news with unanimous acclaim. This contraption is revolutionary. At all costs, they must acquire the formula. Even the highest authorities intervened personally, commanding Joseph to bring forth the creator of this formula within 3 days. Have you heard? The higher-ups will be present. Oh my, could this be a prelude to a confrontation with some formidable power? It seemed to revolve around a certain individual. Angel was suddenly engulfed in turmoil, with everyone curious about the identity of the person who had ignited this upheaval within their organization. Rumor had it that they had produced contraband capable of shaking the entire industry. Joseph, you've truly made a significant contribution. The man clapped Joseph on the back. The higher-ups were exceedingly pleased, and rewards were surely forthcoming. Joseph, feeling slightly embarrassed, modestly replied, "It's nothing." The upper management expressed a desire to meet this individual. Joseph set down his glass, his eyes narrowing slightly, then feigned an air of joy. "Ha ha ha, no problem at all. Old ma, I have 2 travel tickets for you. Take them and enjoy." Joseph handed him the tickets. The man was puzzled. When had this fellow become so generous? After a night of drinking, the man became thoroughly intoxicated. Joseph calmly made his way to the room where the undercover officer was detained, gently laying the man down and whispering, "Actually, I am also an undercover agent." As storm clouds gathered, Hanley had uncovered the identity of the group that had pursued him last time. It was said to be a specialized team from the Sea City Police, known as Black Hawk, comprised of geniuses from various fields under the leadership of the police. They had resolved numerous troublesome cases. Elites among elites indeed. Among them was a top-tier hacker. No wonder they were able to pinpoint my location last time. Well, patience has its limits. A gentleman takes his revenge. One must act swiftly. Leaving a deliberate flaw, Hanley intentionally leaked his whereabouts. He tucked away his phone, whistling as he entered a steamed bun shop, ordering a plate of fragrant buns. "Come on, let me teach you a lesson," he mused. Chapter 110. I, Hanley, declare war on Black Hawk. "Hey, young man, can you possibly finish all this food by yourself?" An elderly man noticed the mountain of food on the table, while Hanley sat alone. "I never said it was all for me," Hanley replied with a mysterious smile. He checked the morning news on his phone, documenting the latest significant events in Sea City. To his astonishment, the front page featured news of the Sea City Police dispatching their strongest team, Black Hawk, to corner Hanley, accompanied by the caption, "Hanley is no longer invincible, for we are Black Hawk." In the midst of their conversation, sharp words were exchanged, praising the police chief while disparaging Hanley. One might think they had been overwhelmed by him. Clearly, it was all for the sake of sensationalism. How audacious. Hanley rose, settled the bill, left behind a note, and hurriedly departed. Shortly thereafter, the once boisterous restaurant fell into a sudden silence as patrons set down their utensils, gazing at the approaching Lee gang. The Black Vulture. Excitement rippled through the crowd. This was the very force that had driven Hanley to the brink. "Boss, We are conducting an investigation. Your cooperation is appreciated, Li Yi spoke gently. The owner felt a pang of anxiety. He was well aware that associating with someone of the Black Vulture's stature was risky. All right. Did you see any suspicious individuals this morning? The owner pondered for a moment before responding. Well, there was someone who ordered an entire table of food. Does that count? Oh, where? Li Gang followed the owner to a table laden with an array of dishes at the back. Raising an eyebrow, he discovered a note left on the table. Upon reading it, his eyes widened in disbelief. How brazen. The note depicted a Peppa Pig, with the message, "Eat more, it's good for the journey." This was unequivocally a declaration of war against the Black Vulture. Crumpling the note, Li Gang's expression darkened. It was the first time a criminal had so blatantly disregarded the Black Vulture. Boss, do you have surveillance footage? No need. I've already cracked it. And Rand stepped out of the car, clutching a portable notebook to examine the records. The footage revealed a young man clad in a hoodie, deliberately obscuring his face. Exiting the restaurant. Judging by his silhouette, it was indeed Han Li, and he seemed to have timed his departure meticulously. A flicker of distaste crossed in Rand's face. The members of the Black Vulture wore grave expressions. Who would have thought that the formidable team from City C could be toyed with by a mere passerby? To be honest, I am quite angered, Li Gang addressed the group. Once is permissible, but a second offense will not be tolerated. Captain, I have tracked his location. And Rand once again breached Han Li's firewall, though this time it was more challenging. This Han Li is not so formidable after all. Excellent. Let us depart. The members of the Black Vulture were resolute this time. They would not allow Han Li to escape again. In the live broadcast room, the female host displayed her determination. The Black Vulture was the strongest team in City C, comprised of geniuses who would undoubtedly capture Han Li. I cannot wholeheartedly agree. It remains uncertain who will outsmart whom. Professor Li remarked with a smirk, fully aware of Han Li's cunning nature. Hey, do you want a ticket? I can sell you one for 50, a $20 discount. A scalper nudged a handsome young man. Han Li turned his head. I do not require a ticket. What do you mean? Without a ticket, how will you enter? To their astonishment, Han Li retrieved a Peppa Pig mask from his bag, donned it, and then brandished his submachine gun, exclaiming excitedly at the scalper, I'm robbing you. Whoa, Peppa Pig. As gunfire echoed throughout the park, Han Li compelled the security personnel to use the loudspeaker system to evacuate all visitors from the premises. Thank you for your cooperation. Bang. The security officer touched his forehead, stained with paintballs. My apologies. I, Han Li, do not prefer leaving witnesses. Amidst the chaos, the frightened travelers scattered in every direction, creating a scene of utter disarray. Bang, bang, bang. Everyone make way. Han Li raised his submachine gun and unleashed a burst of fire. In an instant, the previously tumultuous crowd parted with remarkable order, yielding a clear path leading deep into the park. Thank you, Han Li said, maintaining his composure as he hoisted his backpack and ventured further into the park under the watchful eyes of the onlookers. Throughout the entire encounter, no one dared to move. Some even held their breath, fearful of attracting Han Li's attention. The live stream exploded with excitement. What on earth is this display of dominance? I declare Han Li the most formidable outlaw. A terrified traveler exclaimed, I'm utterly terrified. Before long, the Black Hawks arrived first. Upon witnessing the fear etched on the faces of the travelers, one remarked, What are you afraid of? He is Han Li. Li Gang glanced back at his team, sighing. Look at the current state of City C. If we do not stop Han Li now, one can only imagine how terrifying he will become in the hearts of the people moving forward. Therefore, we must defeat him. For the sake of justice. Follow me. And Ran, you'll handle the surveillance, Li Gang commanded, fully armed, leading a few team members. Sitting in the command vehicle, and Ran smiled, casually sucking on a lollipop. Don't worry, the boss is not invincible. As long as Han Li is human, we can handle him. Her slender, fair fingers danced across the keyboard. And in no time, she successfully hacked into all the park's surveillance systems. A series of monitoring feeds emerged, ensuring that no blind spot could escape their scrutiny. Thus, their team would be the first to discern Han Li's movements. And Rand turned her gaze towards Li Gang and the others entering the park. Captain, the target has yet to notice our presence. Excellent. The communication among them was encrypted, impervious to eavesdropping, specifically designed to thwart Han Li's hacking attempts. They split into 3 groups, swiftly scouring the entire park. Thanks to Enrant's reports, their efficiency was astonishing. It seems these areas are the target. On the map, aside from a few locations, all others were marked with red crosses, drastically narrowing down the search. And Rand meticulously monitored the feeds, her attention unwavering. Just then, she noticed a figure passing through one of the surveillance frames. Han Li, I've got you. And Rand's eyes sparkled with excitement as she magnified the image, checking the surveillance position and relaying the location to Li Gang and the others. Indeed, splendid news. Everyone, follow me to capture Han Li. Several members of the Black Hawks revealed sinister smiles, relishing the prospect of the chase. Let us see how he escapes this time. They sped toward the designated location. Meanwhile, Rand remained fixated on the screen. The figure halted midway, perfectly aligned with the overhead camera. What the hell? Rand shouted. In the next moment, Han Li gradually approached the camera, tilting his head to gaze directly into it, as if staring at Rand on the other side. Rand raised her middle finger defiantly, You're about to be captured. In the blink of an eye, Han Li smiled slightly, hello, and ran. And Ran's heart raced, chills cascading down her spine. The surveillance footage suddenly plunged into darkness. What could be happening? And Ran quelled her terror. How had Han Li managed this? It was nothing serious. If need be, the darkness would return. And Ran held confidence in her technical skills, for she had previously breached the firewall. However, to her astonishment, she discovered that she had lost control over the park surveillance. The second monitor went black, followed by the third and the fourth, a vast expanse of darkness enveloping the screens. And Ran's heart raced as she stared into the pitch-black void of the monitors. Her nerves frayed to the utmost. This was her first encounter with such an anomaly. Yet, it was not over. The darkened screens flickered back to life. But instead of the park's cameras, she was confronted with her own visage. What on earth? Her mouth fell agape in shock. In the ensuing footage, her own face mirrored the same expression of horror. A sudden chill coursed through her mind. It was a gun. Chapter 111. The Black Lord, Annihilation, is this it? Is your name really Ran? Han Li gently squeezed the trigger, his tone laced with menace. And Ran bit her lip, her heart racing and her cheeks flushed. To have a criminal point a gun at her head was an unparalleled humiliation for someone of her stature as a Black Lord. Moreover, how had he arrived here? The thought struck her with dread. If the real Han Li was present, then what of the Han Li in the footage? As if reading her thoughts, Han Li clarified. That was a pre-recorded video. They've been toyed with. The audience in the live stream erupted in amusement. A Black Lord? Is that all? Don't be afraid. Young lady, Han Gij is a good person. Han Li retorted. You thought I was serious? He bound and ran to a chair, forcing her to watch the surveillance feeds. And Ran, bewildered, wondered what Han Li intended to do. Suddenly, he vanished from her sight once more. Li Gang, accompanied by several team members, elite graduates from the police academy, was renowned for their exceptional teamwork and had apprehended numerous criminals. They were arguably the most formidable group among the Black Lords. However, upon encountering Han Li, they would undoubtedly be overpowered. Strange, team leader, we've lost contact with Ran, one team member exclaimed in astonishment. What? The group was taken aback. A realization struck Li Gang, disbelief washing over him. Could it be that Han Li was capable of such? He hastily grabbed a specialized walkie-talkie. And Ran, please respond. Please respond. Unbeknownst to them, in those fleeting seconds, their so-called surveillance had entirely become Han Li's plaything. Bound and unable to reply. And Ran could only whimper in disbelief. In but a minute, Han Li had infiltrated all her surveillance systems, rendering them unmodifiable. It was unfathomable. Just moments ago, she had reveled in her ability to breach Han Li's firewall, yet it had all been a ruse on his part. Her once prized hacking prowess was, in his eyes, utterly insignificant. How humiliating. At this moment, having lost contact with Ran, Li Gang's expression turned tense. He commanded the other team members, you two, return and investigate. The squad disbanded their defensive formation. Just as Li Gang was about to regroup, a sudden crackling sound pierced the air. Who goes there? Swiftly. The entire team aimed their weapons towards the source of the noise. Come out, or I will shoot, Li Gang warned, directing the others to focus in that direction. Don't shoot, officer. From the bushes emerged a ragged, stooped homeless man, stammering and gesturing. I'm just passing through. Passing through? With all the travelers evacuated. Who else could be around? The homeless man attempted to explain, stepping closer. He could very well be Han Li in disguise. Don't come any closer, or I'll shoot, Li Gang commanded, raising his weapon. Put your hands up. Several hearts raced with anxiety. The homeless man knelt, cradling his head with his hands. Just as they exhaled in relief, suddenly, gunfire erupted. Li Gang and the others were momentarily stunned, unable to comprehend what had just happened. They were covered in paintballs. Hit. What was going on? Amidst their confusion, Han Li emerged from behind, tossing a grenade towards the bewildered group. Boom. Another explosion rang out. They were now painted figures. Finish them off, and show some understanding, Han Li quipped. You're using grenades to finish them off? He passed by the bewildered members of the Black Hawk team. Approaching the homeless man with a smile, here's 200 for you. Thank you. The homeless man snatched the money and fled. The livestream audience erupted in excitement. What a comeback. He.S. laughing. He.S. actually laughing. Li Gang exclaimed in disbelief. What the hell? Using a grenade to finish them off? I never saw that coming. Impressive. The homeless man muttered. He offered too much. Li Gang and his team were speechless. Were they eliminated in such a manner? Their earlier bravado now felt like mere illusions as they observed Han Li's cheeky grin. Damn it. One of the team members slammed the ground in frustration. Filled with indignation. Han Li, you're quite formidable, Li Gang remarked. Han Li approached him, expressing gratitude while his hands wandered, stealthily swiping the walkie-talkie from Li Gang's pocket. Li Gang mentally cursed repeatedly. Meanwhile, Ran was suffering the most, watching helplessly as one teammate after another was eliminated by Han Li on the screen, feeling utterly powerless. It was excruciating. However, she could not have anticipated that this was merely the beginning. In front of Li Gang and the others, Han Li picked up the walkie-talkie and mimicked Li Gang's voice with remarkable accuracy. Return immediately. We've discovered Han Li's whereabouts. Understood, Captain. Upon hearing the familiar voice of Li Gang, the two team members didn't think twice. Wait, Isn't that Captain Li Gang's voice? The similarity was uncanny. More Li Gang than Li Gang himself. Li Gang thought, am I now a stand-in? This guy's such astonishing skills still exist. What further shocked them was that Han Li had planted landmines in their vicinity. Han Li, you are but corpses now. Do not breach the rules, dear friends. Observing Han Li's smile, Li Gang felt an overwhelming urge to shoot him dead. Before long, enticed by Han Li, the two remaining team members rushed back. Don't come over. The eliminated Black Hawk team members felt a surge of anxiety. What had transpired? The two team members stepped forward, inadvertently entering the minefield. Boom. A loud explosion echoed, followed by a dense fog enveloping everyone's figures. Cough, cough, cough. The two Black Hawk members stared in horror at the colorful paint splatters on their bodies. They had been blown up. Eliminated. What on earth? One person's mind went blank, utterly oblivious to what had just occurred. Landmines. Right there, right beside Li Gang and the others. It was a blatant trap. No way, we just returned. And we're already out? Annihilated? The Black Hawk members were struck with immense shock. They prided themselves on their seemingly impregnable formation. Yet before they could even set it up, they were eliminated? Unbelievable. They were the strongest team on the front lines, capturing the truly ruthless criminals. And yet they were so easily cast aside? Watching Han Li emerge, smiling, sent chills down the spines of the Black Hawk members. Had this been reality, they would have scattered long ago. Shattered. The viewers in the live stream were astounded by the series of counterattacks. Goodness, it's like the Calabash brothers saving their grandfather. One by one. Black Hawk. Oh no, we've been outmaneuvered by Han Li. Han Li, pay attention and learn well. I shall teach you only once. Indeed, I, Han, am here to take down the elite. The Black Hawk members wore expressions of utter despair. As elites, they had been eliminated in such a manner. Black Hawk is nothing more than this. With that final remark, Han Li turned to leave. Passing by the Black Hawk command vehicle, he noticed and ran inside, weeping uncontrollably. Han Li, I hate you. Sigh. Han Li was also puzzled as to why Black Hawk had fallen so swiftly. The conclusion? He was simply too powerful. Invincible. Thus, Han Li swaggered back, having annihilated the Black Hawk in just one day. Chapter 112. Delving into the Angel base, the major incident begins. Within the Sea City Police Department, the chief stared at the Black Hawk team, standing before him, his face flushed with anger. He slammed a newspaper onto the desk, his voice rising in indignation. How could the esteemed Black Hawk be annihilated by a mere civilian posing as a criminal? Li Gang and the remaining Black Hawk members wore grave expressions. Their pride as Black Hawk had been shattered by Han Li. Aren't you the self-proclaimed top hacker? Don't you boast of unparalleled driving skills? And you, old fox, outsmarted by a young man? Each face burned with humiliation. The director slumped in his chair, his eyes clouded with confusion, as if he had exhausted his last ounce of strength. He lamented, Sea City can no longer accommodate this colossal figure. Alas, the formidable team, Black Hawk, was annihilated in a single day. Where can one seek justice in such a situation? Director Jiang, that old rascal, should be summoned to take Han Li back. He must not wreak havoc in my Sea City. Before long, news spread like wildfire that Han Li had single-handedly eradicated the Black Hawk team in less than a day. The entire city was shaken, gripped by fear. This man named Han Li was extraordinary. Various forums in Sea City hinted that the future would belong to Han Li. As long as he was present, no police captain would be considered remarkable, and all manner of chaos could ensue. Han Li cast aside the newspaper. The press had changed. The previous newspaper that had glorified Black Hawk was now facing severe backlash and dared not show its face. Suddenly, a voice echoed in his mind. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have annihilated the Black Hawk team. Reward skill, Warlord. Warlord, the ultimate capability in solo combat. Han Li was astonished. What he had always lacked was the ability for individual combat. Now, it seemed he was invincible. In any case, this incident served as a wake-up call for the police captains of Sea City. He believed they would become increasingly formidable in the future. With a smile, Han Li remarked, Did you think my rampage was for show? Incorrect. This was to enhance the police's capabilities. A truly noble endeavor. Brother, teach me a move. Ling Han was thoroughly convinced. Serving beside Han Li, hoping to learn a few tricks to flaunt later. To single-handedly eliminate an entire team. How impressive was that? Han Li replied, You will lure the enemies. And I will handle the slaughter, alright? At that moment, a knock resounded from outside the door. Ling Han peered through the peephole and beheld the imposing and fierce muscular man outside, none other than Joseph from before. Moreover, he was accompanied by a group of equally menacing subordinates. Brother Joseph, with a word, my brothers will storm the place. Let us finish them. Kill, kill. Joseph, puffing on a cigar, swiftly knocked down an overly enthusiastic subordinate with a punch, disdainfully declaring, Damn it, do I need this bunch of useless fools? I, Joseph, the iron-willed, can take on a legion of chicks. What can they do to me? There was an undini Joseph flashed a crooked smile, addressing his companions. Wait for my good news outside. With an air of nonchalance, he swaggered into the room, casting a dismissive glance at Ling Han. As Ling Han shut the door, he turned to Han Li. I heard you intend to take me down with a single punch? Han Li raised an eyebrow. Suddenly, a thud echoed through the room. The three were taken aback as Joseph dropped to his knees, prostrating himself with hands clasped together, voice earnest. Brother, there were too many people outside earlier. Now, I kneel before you. Please show mercy and do not hold this against me. He trembled, his previous bravado nowhere to be seen. It was clear, he could flaunt his bravado, but not in front of Han Li. The audience in the live stream erupted with laughter. Brother Han, I was merely putting on a show. You don't mind, do you? Joseph inquired. You've got some sense, kid, Han Li replied. Goodness. A gang leader is kneeling before our Mr. Han. The police officer exclaimed, bewildered. Thus began Han Li's ascent to becoming the godfather of the underworld. Brother, I'm at my wit's end. Please give me the antidote. Joseph pleaded with a pitiful expression, revealing his somewhat ghastly arm. My arm is killing me. Han Li shook his head. Once we finish our business, I will naturally provide you with the antidote. You may rise. Oh. Joseph got to his feet and led Han Li and the others outside. Brother, what a presence. Look how our brother Joseph has frightened these little chicks. Behave, or I'll give you a smack. One of the younger members threatened as he prepared to strike Han Li. Damn it. This kid dares to be more handsome than me. After mulling it over, he decided against it and hurried to the car. Joseph, watching from behind, felt his heart race. Nearly terrified out of his wits. His eyelids twitched. Damn you. You scared the life out of me. Do you know who he is? You almost got me killed. Once Han Li and the others were in the car, Joseph deliberately chose a good seat for him and occasionally muttered curses, all while offering him cola and snacks. Brother, why are you giving our snacks to him? The younger members mournfully asked. Joseph retorted, you don't understand. This is to let them lower their guard. Really? Are you serious? It feels like you're just buttering him up, one of them questioned. After about an hour and a half, as Han Li and the others exited the car, they found themselves before an upscale club, its entrance marked with a sign indicating it was closed. Is this the base of angels? Joseph led Han Li inside. Taking the opportunity to have Ling Han and Old Master Chui blend into the kitchen area of angels, as per their plan. He provided them with 2 sets of chef uniforms and prepared employee IDs. Did you get the items? Ling Han joked, assuring that they would not return empty-handed. With Old Master Chui, a good man armed with a knife, Han Li was unconcerned for their safety. Besides, Joseph would be there to create distractions. Let us go? Han Li, Joseph guided Han Li into the high-end club named Heaven on Earth. They proceeded to a mysterious elevator that descended to the basement level. And as the elevator doors opened, the scene was thick with tension as a group of men, their upper bodies exposed and adorned with tattoos of Guan Yu and the 9-pattern dragon, awaited their moment. The air was charged with a palpable sense of menace. Any ordinary person would have been paralyzed with fear at such a sight. Han Li scratched his head, dismissing it as a trivial matter. One of the thugs approached, showcasing a butterfly knife, licking his lips with a sly grin. So, you're the infamous Han Li? He taunted. Yes, indeed, my son. Seeking death, are we? The man intended to intimidate Han Li, lunging with the knife. Joseph flinched. Wait, is this for real? In an instant, the thug was bewildered to find the butterfly knife had vanished from his grasp. Don't move, Han Li commanded, holding the knife to the man's throat. Amusement glimmering in his eyes. Is this all you have? The thug stood in stunned silence, utterly perplexed by the display. Laughter erupted, and the thugs began to retreat as a man strolled forward confidently. Chapter 113. The relentless thug, the gang, and the inspector. A triad of tension. How about a one-on-one? If you think you're so tough? The thug, realizing his pride was at stake, shouted defiantly as he attempted to rise. Han Li smiled slightly, applying just enough pressure to elicit a sharp pang from the thug's shoulder, contorting his face in agony. Damn, that hurts. Let go, let go. Oops. Brother, I was mistaken. The thug whimpered. Han Li nodded, loosening his grip. The man collapsed to the ground, clutching his shoulder, gasping in pain. The crowd watched in disbelief. What an overwhelming display. Joseph was taken aback, questioning if Han Li had always possessed such prowess. A mysterious figure emerged, applauding. Mr. Han Li, truly exceptional. Why not consider joining us at the Angels? For reasons unknown, the thugs seemed to regard this man with trepidation, even Joseph tempering his aggression. Han Li surmised that this man was likely one of the upper echelons of the Angels. I am here to discuss a collaboration, he stated. What a pity. Please, come in. The others are waiting for you. The man gestured. Adjusting his glasses, he remarked, that esteemed individual has also graced us with his presence. The esteemed individual? Everyone was taken aback. The boss would personally appear for this man. Even powerful figures typically communicated with the boss via video call. Yet, this young man had elicited a personal appearance from the boss. Extraordinary. Han Li ended the live stream and followed the man into a dimly lit chamber. Inside, there were no lights, only the flickering flames of candles illuminating a rectangular table, casting shadows on the sinister faces surrounding it. Their sharp gazes fixated on Han Li, revealing a spectrum of emotions, predominantly greed. Could it be that he has indeed created something remarkable? One high-ranking individual mused, fingers interlaced, eyes narrowed in scrutiny. Another man, clad in a suit yet exuding the aura of a thug, scoffed. What a fool. A mere blow would send him tumbling. Hand over the goods. Calm down. We are here to converse with honesty. The gentleman, adorned with spectacles, spoke with a gentle smile. Observing the high-ranking officials, Han Li could discern the weight of their many transgressions. He casually selected a seat and settled down. However, as he did so, the remaining executives were momentarily taken aback, their faces etched with astonishment. "What are you staring at?" Hanley queried. "Young man, this is our boss's seat." Indeed. Hanley occupied the prominent position at the rectangular table, surveying the high-ranking officials on either side. This is the position of the Angel boss. Just as the assembled staff presumed that this individual would graciously vacate the seat, Hanley defiantly propped his legs upon the table. "Youngster, do not be overly arrogant." Hanley retorted, "If I am not arrogant, how could I be called young?" An aggressive man shouted, advancing to seize Hanley, rolling up his sleeves. His fists adorned with brass knuckles, he approached Hanley menacingly. "Do you even deserve this seat?" Hanley remained unmoved, not shifting an inch. "How outrageous. I am a gang officer." In a flash, a powerful punch was thrown, one that an ordinary person would find unbearable. The brass knuckles glinted in anticipation. "Learn your lesson. Kid, take this punch." Yet, the Hanley of today was no longer the same as before. With a swift sidestep, he evaded the blow, leaping into the air and striking at an unusual angle, reminiscent of a whip cracking. A sharp sound echoed, akin to a resounding slap to the faces of all present. Hanley lowered his legs, steadied himself against the chair, exuding calmness. On the other side, Brother Tiger, struck by the kick, staggered back. Clutching his nose in terror as he gazed at the unmoving Hanley, blood trickled through his fingers. The scene left all the high-ranking officials in a daze. What had transpired? Had the battle concluded? "Tell your Angel leader to speak with me," Hanley demanded, his expression stern, lacking time for trivialities. His aura, emanating forcefully, even intimidated these seasoned gang officers. "I believe you are qualified to discuss collaboration with me." Just then, a figure emerged from behind the curtain. "Angel Kitchen, you two are the newcomers?" A chef inquired, eyeing the elderly man and the youth. "Damn it, can you, old man, even wield a knife?" Until old Master Chui produced a butcher's knife, showcasing his carving skills, causing the chef to exclaim in disbelief. "What can you do?" Ling Han replied, "I can eat." "Eliminate him." "Wait, I can cook deliciously," Ling Han hastily added. The chef pondered for a moment before instructing. "Let me tell you, everyone coming today is a significant figure. If my usual helper hadn't mysteriously disappeared, I wouldn't be using you too. Understand? Work hard later." "Absolutely." After the chef's orders, he commenced cooking, while Ling Han and old Master Chui assisted. "Hey, that soup is bubbling up. Damn it, was that intentional?" The head chef rushed over. Ling Han hurriedly retrieved the item given to him by President Han. Soul confounding powder, a relentless pouring into the dishes, colorless and tasteless, imperceptible to the ordinary eye. All was ready. Once the dishes were completed, the chef instructed the servers to deliver them, letting out a sigh of relief. However, upon turning around, he found that Ling Han and old Master Chui had vanished without a trace. Curious, he wondered, where could they be? Meanwhile, at the gathering place of the angels, a group of individuals stirred with anticipation. The leader frequently cast glances to the side and addressed his companions, saying, "When the signal arrives, we shall act." Yes, Captain Li. Indeed, this man was none other than Li Yi. Just days prior, he had intended to accompany the Black Owl to capture Han Li. However, before their departure, he unexpectedly received a message, the address of which was none other than the base of the powerful faction known as the Angels. Although he was unaware of the sender's identity, Li Yi vowed to pay a visit in gratitude in the future. A true benefactor. Soon, the time would come to commence. Inside the room, an air of silence prevailed. The higher-ups dared not speak, obedient before their boss like children. Han Li regarded the elegant man across from him, impeccably dressed, exuding the aura of a true leader. To the side, a figure with a bandaged nose, known as Tiger, produced a small mound of powder. Delightful, the man remarked, inhaling deeply, invigorated by the rush it provided. His joy was palpable. This was nothing short of a masterpiece, a divine creation. Once unleashed upon the market, it would undoubtedly sweep away all contraband, monopolizing the trade in no time. At that moment, the angels would reign supreme over the domestic illicit trade. "If you reveal the formula, name your price, anything you desire," he offered, his eyes gleaming with insatiable greed, as if he had glimpsed an elixir of immortality. Han Li, with his arms crossed and legs casually crossed, replied, "Allow me a moment to ponder." At that instant, the servers wheeled in the dishes, placing them meticulously on the table. The guests began to eat and converse. After a while, Han Li continued to hesitate, dragging out the time, which caused the boss of the angels to grow increasingly impatient. He spoke in a low tone. "Is it not ready yet? My patience is running thin." Suddenly, all the high-ranking members rose, drawing their firearms and aiming them at Han Li, who sat at the head of the table. The triggers were poised, ready to be pulled. Tension hung thick in the air. "Now, will you cooperate with us?" the boss of the angels asked with a sinister smile. Chapter 114. I declare that the angels are now under my control. In the face of the guns aimed at him, Han Li remained composed, turning his gaze toward the boss. "Are you attempting to threaten me?" The boss sneered disdainfully. "I threaten you, and what can you do about it?" Rising to his feet, he tore away his facade of benevolence, revealing the ruthless nature of a gang leader. "If you refuse to comply, they will shoot you dead." The higher-ups grinned maliciously, their weapons ready to fire at a moment's notice. Just a little scare, let us see if that frightens you. The boss watched the scene with amusement, relishing the power he held over life and death. Would it be death, or would there be a compromise? Han Li did not respond. Instead, he glanced at the time and began to count down. 10, 9, 8. The crowd was bewildered, questioning his sanity. Is he counting down? Ha ha ha, this is hilarious. What a fool. Is this a countdown to death? You'd be better off begging for mercy. Laughter erupted among the onlookers. The boss, exasperated, rubbed his forehead and stood up, dismissively stating, it's all yours. Yes. The others turned to leave, planning to torment him until he divulged the formula. The boss listened to Han Li continue his countdown, mocking him internally. What an idiot. However, the anticipated gunfire did not occur. The silence that followed was palpable. The boss turned to the unmoving high-ranking officials, confused. What are you waiting for? Shoot. Yet, it seemed they were oblivious to his command, remaining frozen in place. Han Li stepped forward and, facing the boss, declared, 1. In an instant, the remaining high-ranking officials collapsed one after another, incapacitated. The situation had reversed dramatically. The boss was filled with terror, bewildered by the sudden turn of events. You poisoned them. He glanced at the food on the table, panic surging within him. It wasn't until Han Li picked up a gun from the floor and aimed it at his forehead that he truly felt fear creep in. The handsome young man smiled. Now, you have no choice. The boss shouted in anger. Do you think I was unprepared? My men are outside. Get in here. However, after calling for what felt like an eternity, there was no response from outside. Impossible. Outside, a mountain of fallen henchmen lay piled high, while an elderly man sharpened his knife, sighing. Life is tough. He had dealt with the henchmen long ago. Ling Han exclaimed, we are truly strong. Old Master Cui noted the prolonged silence. The boss, now panicking, stumbled backward, gazing at the young man before him as if he were a ghost. Don't kill me. The hall is full of my Angels members. You can't escape. Most of his men were gathered in the hall, and even if Han Li killed him, he would be unable to flee. Han Li waved his hand. They are likely quite busy at the moment. What do you mean? Suddenly, the boss's face turned pale as realization struck him. This young man had been well prepared. Meanwhile, in the hall, the hidden police led by Li Yi finally sprang into action, swiftly suppressing a large group of Angels members, gunshots ringing out. Don't move. Get down. Damn it. How did the cops show up here? This is bad. The scene descended into chaos, but it was clear the police held the upper hand. Soon, the shouts of confusion from downstairs echoed into the room. The boss, in a panic, saw Han Li approaching like a demon. He cried out, don't be impulsive. You're still young. Don't follow the path of crime. Stay calm. Han Li advanced slowly, resembling a hunter approaching prey ensnared in a trap. This was the process of slaughter. A remarkable delight unfolded as the boss, in a state of panic, leaned against the door, which was suddenly pushed open from the outside. Entering was the indomitable Joseph. Upon seeing this man, the boss felt as though he had encountered a savior. His prior anxiety dissipated, replaced by a menacing grin. Excellent. You are indeed my salvation. Eliminate him, and I shall elevate you to the higher echelons. The boss rose, casting a smile towards Han Li. Yes, boss. Joseph retrieved a firearm from his pocket. In the next moment, he pivoted, leveling the weapon at the boss who was still lost in the aftermath of survival. Joseph, what are you doing? Joseph replied. I'm sorry, I have a new boss now. As the boss watched Joseph step back to stand alongside Han Li, the realization dawned upon him, plunging him into despair. How could this happen? I am the leader of the Angels. Joseph inquired, shall we dispose of him? Leave him. He still serves a purpose. Han Li instructed Joseph to bind the boss. Then he proceeded to take his seat at the head of the rectangular table. The sides were eerily empty, with numerous high-ranking members of the Angels sprawled lifelessly on the ground. Under the flickering candlelight, his shadow elongated, as if to envelop the entire room. Han Li raised his glass, addressing the fallen villains, a toast to you, gentlemen. 2 hours later, Li Yi observed the successive waves of gang members kneeling in captivity. He exhaled a sigh of relief, thankful that his people had sustained no injuries, crediting their surprise attack for the advantage. Take them all back. Report. We have discovered a mysterious chamber. It appears to be a stronghold of the higher-ups. Move. Without delay, Li Yi led his team to the chamber's entrance, only to find the door ajar, seemingly anticipating their arrival. Let us investigate. Upon entering, the team was momentarily stunned. Inside, high-ranking members were bound and suspended from the beams, writhing in agony, crying out, the devil. He is the devil. Most astonishing to Li Yi was the sight of a table piled high with documents. After professional examination, it was revealed that these were indeed the criminal records of the Angels from recent years. All were accounted for. This is enough to sink them. Li Yi pressed his forehead, overwhelmed by the unexpected revelation. Who orchestrated such a trap, ridding us of the malignant Angels? As he pondered this, a figure spontaneously materialized in his mind. No, it can't be. That would be too terrifying. After escorting the high-ranking members back, the police promptly sealed off all Angel-related businesses, apprehending nearly 2/3 of their members. The following day, sensational news broke, shocking the citizens of City C and eliciting widespread applause. These criminals deserve to be captured. To my astonishment, The chief of police in City C possesses such formidable prowess. It is rumored that an individual has been discreetly aiding the chief, and one could attribute the accolades solely to this collaboration. Is it truly credible? This is indeed remarkable. In that moment, many were left intrigued by the identity of this enigmatic benefactor, pondering why they chose not to step into the limelight and claim their share of the glory. While others remained oblivious, the director of the program featuring the mysterious figure was well aware, yet opted for discretion, willing to bestow the honor upon the chief. Even if the chief were to inquire later, the director would feign ignorance, choosing to remain hidden, embodying the spirit of humility. As the director reflected on the news, he mused, what a true